Chapter 595. Kill, kill, kill. The whirlpool in the air spun intensely, causing the surrounding space to distort. The sky turned dark, looking like a terrifying abyss amid the darkness. Overwhelming demonic chi immediately poured out in all directions. It was like a strong wind sweeping through the entire fiendish demon ancient battlefield. That pitch-black demonic chi was so dense that one could see it with the naked eye. Roar! Countless roars filled with violence came one after another, wildly erupting from the whirlpool like a flood. In the blink of an eye, the demonic chi filled the entire fiendish demon ancient battlefield. The vast demonic chi almost covered the entire heaven and earth. A terrifying demonic aura spread out in all directions. The whirlpool trembled intensely as if some terrifying demonic being was struggling to emerge from it. Oh no, it's the fiendish demon ancient battlefield. At a mountain peak riddled with holes in the fiendish demon world's underground world, there was a huge cave abode there. This cave abode was connected to the outside world, extending in all directions. The entire mountain peak had at least hundreds of thousands of holes connected together, making it even more difficult to figure out than a maze. Inside the cave abode, the golden-robed, baby-faced man with a murderous aura was sitting inside. He was the one who said those words earlier. Furthermore, aside from him, Qin, the great rock fiend king, and the other fiend king sat beside him. These were all familiar faces. There were also two unfamiliar faces. One of them was a woman. She was extremely coquettish, and her beauty was only slightly inferior to Qin. However, her waist was swaying slightly, and a seductive temperament exuded from her body. It was enough to charm all living things. If she were to appear in the secular world, any emperor would want to make her smile. She was so beautiful that she could cause the fall of a city. This made one unable to extricate themselves from her lust. One could not help becoming engrossed in her. No matter how one looked at her, she looked like a delicate and lovable woman. She did not show anything strange on the surface, but she was on equal footing with the great rock fiend king. This showed that this woman was extraordinary. There was also a 3-year-old boy. This boy was extremely adorable. His face was very young and tender, as if he was carved from jade. He really looked like a child. There was an innocent expression on his face. Draped in a snow-white robe, she was truly innocent and radiant. Do the demon gods of the demon god continent have nothing better to do? A year. It's only been a year since the last war. Yet they've opened up the tunnel again so quickly and resumed the war. Even if they treat the demon realm as a whetstone, there should be a limit to their training ground. If I don't show my power, do they really think I, Xie San Yang, am a sick cat? Xie San Yang, who was originally charming, raised her eyebrows and emitted a murderous aura. She stood up angrily. The demon god clan has always treated the demon realm as a training ground. Every once in a while, they would send a batch of demonic beasts and demon gods in the battlefield, using the demon realm to hone their army. According to the usual practice, after a war, the tunnel will only be opened again after at least 100 years. Blissful Boy frowned and said, "Could it be because the demon god clan was defeated on the battlefield last time? I'm here for revenge." Although there was nothing he could do. However, they had long known the true meaning of the demon battlefield's existence. This battlefield was simply a place for the demon god clan to train their army. If not for this, even if the demon god continent had not finished accumulating power and had the ability to devour the purple gold continent, they would still be able to wipe out all the demon race in the demon realm. It was not difficult. So what if they understood? The demon race could not afford to lose their inheritance. No, this time, the demon god clan is probably here to vent their anger. King Nightmare stood up, his eyes shining with wisdom and depth. He said, "Last time, the demon emperor schemed against the demon god clan's demon emperor Qi Tian and killed him on the spot, provoking the shrouding heaven great emperor. It's clear that Qi Tian's identity is not to be underestimated. Although the demon emperor was suppressed, it did not eliminate their anger. This time, they're back, mixed with anger. Their attack will be even more terrifying. He spoke leisurely, figuring out the general situation in just a few words. Demon Emperor? When this title was spoken, there was no one who could refute it. Demon Emperor Di Shurtion. Although Di Shurtion only had the cultivation of an ancient demon king, his feat of shocking the entire demon realm in the demon battlefield a year ago was imprinted in the minds of many demon kings in the demon realm almost instantly. The kind of monstrous battle strength made the void tremble. Even the sun and moon dimmed, especially when he killed a demon emperor as a demon king. Such a feat, it made the demon race feel a sense of admiration. When they thought of him, they had to look up to him. The title of demon emperor naturally fell on him. Furthermore, none of the demon race members had any objections to this. Almost at the same time, when they heard it, they completely approved of it. Even Huluzi and the others silently agreed. The demon emperor is now suppressed under the five-finger demon mountain by the shrouding heaven great emperor. The demon mountain is connected to the heavens and earth and is guarded by the demon god of great destruction. If we can rescue him from the demon battlefield, we might be able to reverse the situation, the Blood Flood Dragon King said after some thought. Although the 8 demon kings were not the strongest in the demon realm, their cultivations had all reached the peak of the great demon realm under the power of the Bodhi treasure tree. During this period, their demon essence was growing at an unprecedented speed. The Rock Demon King, who had the highest cultivation, reached the 6th refinement realm in a short time, the peak of an ancient demon king. The others, such as the Blood Flood Dragon King, the Ancient Demon Tree King, the Dream Demon King, and Baihu, had all successfully reached the 5th refinement realm and continued to advance to the next realm at a rapid speed. Furthermore, each of them had a strong background. Their potential was immeasurable. In addition, they were from the Purple Gold Continent. They represented the demon race on the Source Continent. Hence, they were not looked down on here. When they entered the Fey realm and saw that the Fey kings were just pawns fighting in the front lines, the emotions in the hearts of the Fey king and the others were almost indescribable. The pride of standing at the top of the Fey race on the Source Continent was shattered on the spot. They were not even qualified to enter the demon battlefield. If Di Shurtion had not appeared out of nowhere, if he had dominated the battlefield, the reputation of the demon race on the Source Continent would have been thrown into the Huang Quan River. How could they not stand up for him? Yinsha King, Bai Zian, gently stroked the green bamboo in her hand. She raised her face, which was bare, as if she did not care about anything, and said softly, "The demon emperor must be saved. Xie Sanyang, blissful boy, the demon god race is aggressive this time. They are obviously not kind." Huluzi emitted a layer of blood-red, murderous aura. He said coldly, "Do the demon god race really think that the demon realm is easy to bully? I have decided. Our demon realm has 8 million demon kings, 30 million lesser demons, 1 demon saint, and 3 sky demons. We will teach them a lesson. Our demon realm is not a lamb to be slaughtered." A murderous intent flashed across Blissful Boy's young face. He nodded and said, "I agree." "Huh." Xie Sanyang chuckled and said, "It's been a long time since I tasted the demon god's blood essence." She stuck out her small tongue and licked her lips. She was full of seductive charm. "Mother!" Chunxi's mood sank. The scene of seeing his mother again appeared in his mind. Endless hatred emerged in his heart. Then, his husband was sealed under the demon mountain. His murderous intent toward the demon god race instantly soared. He raised his head and ordered outside, "Azure Dragon, White Tiger, Vermilion Bird, and Black Tortoise legions, listen up. Get into the battle formation and prepare to fight the demon god race." After receiving Di Shurtion's order, Chi Hua and the others obeyed and came to Qinxi's side. During this period of time, they had been quietly cultivating, under the rich heaven and earth essence chi of the demon realm. The 4 legions had all broken through to the 2nd transformation of Demon Core. The commanders of the legions had reached the peak of the 3rd transformation of Demon Core. They were only a step away from the 4th transformation. They had witnessed the scene of Di Shurtion being sealed. Every one of them was filled with the desire to take revenge and wipe away the humiliation. We obey the demon empress order. Chi was spat out 2 streaks of scarlet flames from his nostrils and suddenly rose to his feet. He and the other commanders agreed. With a wave of his hand, the 4 legions immediately sprang into action and got into formation. They were going to condense the bodies of the 4 divine beasts to fight the demon god. Creak, creak, creak. In the void in the tunnel, terrifying cries were constantly transmitted. One could vaguely see another world in the tunnel. It was filled with boundless violence. Extremely dense, demonic chi spewed out of the tunnel like a geyser. The breathing of the demonic beasts could be clearly heard. The pressure that filled the void was even more domineering. Bang, bang, bang. In the Linglong treasure pagoda, Di Shirtian had already stepped onto the stairway to heaven. In the blink of an eye, he had stepped onto the stairway to heaven. The pressure was almost tangible, like a giant grindstone, madly crushing down. The space outside Sakra's body was actually distorting under the pressure, which was abnormally terrifying. Under the black robe, the muscles all over his body undulated like dragons. It was filled with explosive power. The pressure from the 5th stairway to heaven could even crush a mountain. If it was a Yao Core 6th refinement stage cultivator, there was a high chance that they would be blasted off the stairway to heaven. They would roll down in a sorry state. Roar! Dharma idol appeared. A domineering roar that sounded like a dragon or a tiger came from behind. 36 lifelike Dharma idols danced wildly around him, stirring up the void. Vast power was emitted from the Dharma idols. Power of Dharma idols condense into my body, Di Shirtian shouted. Instantly, the 36 Dharma idols roared, and a vast amount of power poured into the demon god's body. In that instant, he felt that the power in his body was expanding at an unimaginable speed. Boom, boom, boom. The aura emitted from the demon god's body caused the space around him to distort violently. His power rose in an instant. Peak of the ancient demon king. Great demon. Peak of the great demon. In a few breaths' time, without any external help, his power rose to the peak of the great demon king's body with just the power of his Dharma idols. My monthly votes are in short supply. Someone actually spent them. I'm going crazy. Brothers, monthly votes. Use your monthly votes. I'm going all out. Let's see if I can make it to the 4th chapter today. 1st chapter delivered. To be continued. If you want to know what happened next, please go to www.chijian.com. I support the author. I support the original reading. Chapter 596. I've been pushed out of the monthly votes list. Brothers, try your best to get up there. I'm going to do my best. Give me motivation. Rumble. The aura emitted from the demon body blocked the pressure exerted on his body. He lifted his foot and stepped forward. The power of a great demon directly suppressed the entire stairway. The pressure of the stairway was targeted at ancient demon kings who had undergone 6 transformations. Who would have thought that he would encounter such a fierce existence like Di Shirtian? Others would only start to condense Dharma Laksana when they were great demons, but he started to condense it when he was a demon king. He even condensed 36 of them. He started to form the immortal body when he was a demon saint, and now he had the indestructible skeleton. All kinds of supernatural powers were countless times stronger than ordinary demon kings. Stepping on the stairway, he was full of majesty, like an emperor who was ascending to the royal court. Every step was like a tiger. Boom! After displaying the Dharma Laksana, the stairway could no longer stop him. He stepped on the top of the stairway in an instant. The vast pressure outside his body also disappeared in the blink of an eye. At the same time, a strong warning sounded in his mind, and his blood boiled violently. A sudden impulse? Di Shirtian was about to take advantage of the situation to blast open the door of the 6th heaven. But the sudden warning in his body that seemed to come from the dark made his movements suddenly stop. He couldn't help but frown slightly, and his heart became more serious than ever. Something big is happening outside. Almost instantly, a thought appeared in his mind. A sudden impulse could be said to be a direct indication of a cultivator. It was a sign that was often closely related to one's own affairs. If it was not oneself, it was a close relationship with one's own family. It may only appear when one is about to encounter some kind of great danger. Could it be that she has encountered some kind of danger? Di Shirtian's thoughts turned quickly. No, mother-in-law is the Yao Yu divine mother of the demon realm. Her cultivation is directly in the heavenly demon realm. Shi's status in the demon realm can be said to be a princess. If there is no accident, it is impossible for him to encounter any danger. All kinds of thoughts appeared in his mind like lightning. However, at this moment, he still scratched his head and couldn't find any information. Whoosh! At this moment, two divine lights, one black and one white, broke through the sky and rushed into the fifth layer of heaven. After they landed, the silhouettes of Tian, Can, and Huang Quan appeared. When he saw Di Shirtian standing at the top of the heavenly staircase, he quickly said, "Your Majesty, the demonic gods are invading again. They have started the fiendish demon battlefield. A large number of demonic gods are currently traversing the ancient void to arrive." Back then, shrouding heaven Great Emperor left a message saying that he would hand His Majesty over to the blazing sky demon. His Majesty, I'm afraid the demon god that came this time will not be good for His Majesty. Heavenly Silkworm Huang Quan said worriedly. The demon god clan? So fast. The radiance in Sakura's eyes shot out 3 feet away. He couldn't help but laugh out loud. Good, good, good. You come at the right time. Back then, this seat had said that when I escaped, I wanted the demon god clan's demon blood to soar and flesh to cover the ground. Now that the myriad demon city has been built, I want to welcome its birth with endless rain of blood. His expression was unusually cold. 5-finger demonic mountain? This time, he was going to topple this demonic mountain. Heavenly Silkworm, Huang Quan. This old servant is here. Immediately return to the myriad demon city and inform all the demons in the Linglong Treasure Pagoda to enter the ancient city. Di Shirtian said immediately. Yes. At this moment, the demons in the pagoda, including the spirit beasts in the first level of heaven, had all transformed and condensed their inner cores, allowing them to take human form. Now, almost all the demons in the pagoda were small demons that had condensed into human form. If not for the demonic aura on their bodies, they were almost no different from humans. This was the foundation of the myriad demon city in the future. How's the refining of the lightning gathering tower? Hearing about refining, Heavenly Silkworm's eyes lit up and he said excitedly, Your Majesty, the lightning gathering tower evolved from the Sky Thunder platform. The refining method is not difficult. The most important item is the Sky Thunderstone. Although there are Sky Thunderstones in the Imperial Treasure Vault, there are not many of them, only 100. We can refine 100 lightning gathering towers. We've already started refining them. The body of the tower was refined with divine crystals, which could make it difficult to destroy. It could also grow in tandem with the ancient city. Once refined, it would be a weapon of war. Good. Di Shirtian's face turned cold, and he said, Once the lightning gathering tower is refined, put the eternal divine thunder from the eternal kingdom in the god-perishing abyss. I want to let the demon god have a taste of the power of the eternal divine thunder. The eternal divine thunder contained the power of time. Back then, it was swallowed by Tao Tai and sent into the pagoda, where it condensed into divine thunder and was stored in the Imperial Treasure Vault. There were a lot of them, a total of 100 million. Every single one of them contained boundless power. They could easily kill a greater demon if they were thrown out. This was the divine thunder that erupted from the eternal kingdom. The 6th level of heaven opened for me. Di Shirtian turned and faced the ancient pagoda door. The Emperor's seal formed in his hand. In addition to the power of his Dharma power, he slapped out. He used the power of his Dharma power to rush up the stairway. Once the power of his Dharma power was exhausted, if he wanted to use it again, he would have to wait for his Dharma power to recover. It would take 10 days to half a month for him to use it again. He wanted to take this opportunity to blast open the door. Creak, creak. Dishurtian's action was too fierce. The heavy pagoda door made a series of dull sounds as it was pushed open inch by inch. The moment the door opened, a strong surge of primordial chi rushed out. It was invigorating. The muscles on his arms kept moving, and the explosive power exuded a masculine aura. Bang! The pagoda door was pushed open domineeringly. The scene in front of him changed, and he entered the 6th level of heaven in an instant. The moment he entered, he could acutely feel that the time here was reversed and changed again. From 200 times in the 5th level of heaven to 250 times. 1 year in the outside world would be 250 years in here. Look, there's a pagoda in front. Ming's sharp eyes instantly saw the pagoda in this world. Dishurtian moved and quickly appeared in front of the pagoda. With a glance, 4 mysterious words appeared on the pagoda. Exquisite treasure vault. It's exquisite treasure vault. The treasures left behind by Ziyu. An indescribable excitement surged in his heart as he looked at the treasure vault in front of him. It looked like a pagoda outside, but there were only 3 levels. This meant that the treasure vault in front of him was indeed the one that he had personally entered back then. The name of the treasure vault was Exquisite Treasure Vault. Furthermore, the door to the Linglong's treasury was actually wide open. As long as he took a few steps forward, he would be able to step into the treasure vault and obtain a huge amount of precious wealth. This was the capital left behind by the demon race in ancient times for their descendants. It was the foundation for a comeback. It was the family property left behind by their ancestor. No matter who it was, if they obtained this wealth, it would not be difficult to change the declining situation of the demon race. Quick, go in and take a look. Back then, I had not followed you and had not entered the treasure vault, but there must be a huge amount of treasures inside. This is not only Ziyu's collection, but also the treasures left behind by the demon race from ancient times. There are many things that only existed in the primordial era. Who knows, we might be able to find some precious primordial era treasures. Nether cried out in anticipation. He urged. Dishurtian was also curious. Something that Ziyu collected was definitely not an ordinary treasure. Patter. With steady steps, he walked into the treasure vault with a majestic gait. In the treasure vault, there was no door to block him, so he easily entered the treasure vault. Swoosh! However, the moment he entered the treasure vault, what appeared in front of him was not the countless treasures that he had imagined. Thousands of treasure lights, and the scenery in front of him changed drastically. Suddenly, he appeared in an empty space. The surroundings were colorful and gorgeous. At first glance, it seemed to be only a few 100 feet wide, but when he looked again, it seemed to be boundless. It was a fantasy. What's going on? Could it be that the treasure vault is fake? Dishurtian's expression did not change, but a strong sense of danger rose in his heart. The imperial shocking book in his body was activated to the extreme, and the imperial true force appeared in every inch of his body. In the demon residence, the 7th grade Black Lotus was spinning violently. It was swallowing a large amount of primal chi around it. He looked around. His right hand had already appeared at the position where it was easiest to hold the tiger's soul. This is Linglong's treasure vault. It's not fake. Just as he was doubting, the surrounding divine light flickered, and a slender purple figure appeared in front of him. That figure was curvaceous and exquisite. It could be said that if she gained a little weight, she would be fat, and if she lost a little weight, she would be skinny. There was no flaw. Looking at this figure, Dishurtian's eyes suddenly widened. Ziyu, the woman in purple, turned around, and a very ordinary appearance appeared in front of him. Her appearance was very ordinary. She could only be considered delicate and pretty at the level of a pretty girl from a humble family. At first glance, she was unremarkable and very ordinary. However, at second glance, her appearance became very hazy. There was an indescribable beauty to her. After a few more glances, he only saw a kind of mystery on her face. He could not even remember her appearance in his mind. Ziyu, heavenly demon Ziyu. Dishurtian had only seen such a situation on Ziyu. Moreover, with this appearance, even if another 10,000 years passed, he would definitely not forget it. It was so deep in his memory that it could not be repeated. 6 transformation demon core, condensed dharma form, and half an immortal body. Divine ability turned into talismans, and Emperor's chi condensed. You really did not disappoint me. A strange light flashed in Ziyu's eyes. She slowly said a sentence, and actually revealed more than half of Di Shurtian's background. She could see the truth at a glance. Her eyesight was really sharp. Why are you here? As soon as Di Shurtian said this, it was too late to take it back. This question was really meaningless. After all, whether it was the Ling Long Treasure Pagoda or Ling Long's Treasure Vault, they all belonged to Ziyu. Ziyu smiled faintly. Her eyes seemed to be able to see through one's mind. She said calmly, "Don't worry. What's here is just a trace of my primordial spirit. The meaning of my existence here is just to wait for your arrival. This Ling Long's Treasure Vault is also left for you to strengthen the demon race. Once you inherit the Treasure Vault, I will naturally dissipate and leave. The things here have long been useless to me. I saw the advertisement today. The price of salt is rising, and everyone is rushing to buy salt, saying that it can prevent radiation. Where the hell did this come from? It's just nonsense. There's no need to believe these rumors. There's also no need to panic. Treat it rationally. This is the usual method of salt sellers. For a very simple example, salt comes from the sea. Salt can prevent radiation. There's a lot of salt in the sea, so how can the sea be contaminated? To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 597. Third update. Brothers, where are the monthly tickets? I'll start writing the 4th chapter now. Everyone, give me some motivation. Back then, I left the Heavenly Demon Secret Realm behind for 2 reasons. First, it was for the Demon Clan to pass on. Second, it was to choose a king for the Demon Clan. Therefore, I set up the path of reflection. Since you can pass the test, it means that you have the potential to become a king. However, you were able to achieve your current achievements in such a short period of time just by relying on the Ling Long Treasure Pagoda's ability to reverse time. You are indeed a peerless genius with great luck. Ziyu spoke leisurely. She was not stingy with her praise for Di Shurtian's achievements. These were not empty words. The most precious thing she had given him was this Ling Long Treasure Pagoda. The cultivation method of reversing time was enough to eliminate the gap between countless years and close the gap between experts. However, the real treasures that could increase the speed of cultivation were all in this Ling Long treasure house. There were all kinds of elixirs that could assist in cultivation, all kinds of heavenly treasures, and spiritual essences of heaven and earth. If he could obtain them and use the elixirs to assist in his cultivation speed would definitely increase by more than 10 times. Therefore, the real treasures that could help him reach the peak and become a peerless expert, a supreme demon god, were all in here. Previously, it was just a test. If he could not cultivate to the greater demon realm without the help of elixirs, it meant that he was not qualified to obtain this huge wealth. What you mean is that it's only now that I truly have the qualifications to obtain the treasure vault that you left behind. Sakura's mind turned, and he completely understood the implied meaning in Ziyu's words. Wrong. Ziyu shook her head gently and said indifferently, "You only have the qualifications. However, whether you can obtain the endless treasures in the treasure house or not, it depends on whether you have the potential and comprehension to reach the peak and become a peerless expert, a demon god." From this, it could be seen that the person she wanted to cultivate was not an ordinary king, but an ancient demon god, a peerless expert, a peak expert between heaven and earth. A king? A king without strength was a tiger without claws and fangs. What was the use of such a king? Only a true expert could make the demon clan rise. How can I be considered qualified? Di Shurtian did not back down and took a step forward. His body was brimming with a dense battle intent, and the aura of an emperor circled around him. His might was boundless. He He stared intently at Ziyu's eyes with a threatening gaze. An ordinary woman's eyes would have been blinded, but Purple Moon only had a calm expression. It was like a cool breeze caressing his face. Defeat yourself. Defeat myself? Di Shirtian was slightly stunned. He was shocked by Ziyu's words. As a powerful expert, Violet Moon said softly, "You could defeat one powerful enemy after another. You can rise from your humble beginnings. You can fight heaven, earth, and fate. These were all the prerequisites to becoming powerhouse. In this world, the most difficult thing is never to defeat a powerful enemy, but to defeat oneself. To surpass oneself is to transcend. If you can surpass yourself, then you have already transcended yourself. If you can even surpass yourself, then what can't you surpass in this world?" Ziyu looked meaningfully at Di Shirtian and said, "So, this time, your opponent is yourself. What should I do?" Di Shirtian's heart was filled with a strong battle intent. His black hair danced wildly behind his head, and his aura soared into the sky like smoke. Yes, defeating others was only an affirmation of one's strength, but to defeat oneself was to surpass oneself. One could clearly recognize one's own strength. That kind of pleasure was even more intense. "Look here." Ziyu stretched out her hand and gently waved it around. Di Shirtian looked around. In front of him was still that strange void. The surroundings were grotesque and dazzling, and it was incomparably fantastical and beautiful. What was even stranger was that he could not sense the outside world. "This is called the everlasting illusion." Ziyu pointed below her feet and said, "In this everlasting illusion, there is boundless fortune. It is a plaything my father left me. Here, a shadow of you will appear. This shadow is yourself. It will have your thoughts, your strength, your divine weapon, your divine ability, and even your everything. What you have, it will have. What you will have, it will also have. How strong you are, it will be as strong. It is another you. Defeating it is the same as defeating yourself. Fighting with one's own shadow, fighting with another you. Fighting with the same divine ability and the same cultivation." In Di Shirtian's ears, it was as if a huge wave suddenly rolled up in his heart. "You have one chance to make a choice." Ziyu calmly looked at Di Shirtian's eyes. After a while, she said indifferently, "If you decide to leave, I can send you out of this everlasting illusion. However, you will forever lose the opportunity to obtain the exquisite treasure house. The treasure house will enter the space-time crack and drift in the heavens, waiting for the next person with the opportunity. If you decide to stay, you will face your shadow. In the everlasting illusion, you will not really die, but if you can't defeat your shadow, then you will forever remain in the illusion. You will never be able to leave. Leave or stay." His words were calm, but they contained a choice that concerned his fate. This question was almost unimaginably heavy. To take a step forward or to take a step back, this choice was extraordinarily heavy. It was not a question of whether or not he could obtain the exquisite treasure house. It was a question of whether or not he could face himself and face himself. The treasures obtained from the God's Fall Abyss were definitely not below the exquisite treasure house in terms of value. He did not care too much about whether or not he could obtain it. However, if he retreated, there would be a shadow in his heart in the future. If he did not dare to face himself, how could he climb to the peak if he could not even face himself? If he advanced, he would fight with his own shadow. If he could not defeat it, he would be trapped in the everlasting illusion forever. It was also a great danger. However, Di Shirtian was Di Shirtian in the end. His eyes flashed, and a look of determination flashed. He stared at Ziyu and said with unusual certainty, "I will stay. I will win." These words showed an unparalleled, domineering aura and incomparable confidence in himself. That confidence was firm and unshakable. "If I want to fight, then I will fight. Being afraid is not my style. Being hesitant is not the style of an emperor. Since I am a man, how can I be afraid of battle? So what if my opponent is me? I am who I am. Only after I transcend will I be my true self. This thought flowed through his mind like a tide. Decisiveness, revealing one's true colors. Good, this is exactly what I want, lunatic D. If you are hesitant, you might as well be a woman. Ming roared with laughter and said, "The infinite illusory realm is a great fortuitous encounter. If you're able to defeat your shadow, then it means that you'll have an extremely clear understanding of your own strength, and you'll be able to grasp it to the peak. Defeating it will be a kind of sublimation for you. This is a great opportunity that others can only dream of. Perhaps one would not feel it when fighting others, but when fighting oneself, one would discover the problem that one usually lacked. Once he corrected it and gained experience, his strength would be greatly improved in an instant. This kind of increase was a kind of sublimation, a kind of complete sublimation. Good. Ziyue's eyes lit up. There was a faint gentleness in her eyes when she looked at him. She nodded and said, "Whether you fall or transcend, it is all up to you." With a gentle wave of her hand, the scene in front of him suddenly changed. Ziyue's body suddenly turned into countless spots of light and quickly disappeared. It was as if she had never appeared. At the same time, Di Shirtian lowered his head and looked at his feet. Below him, his shadow was wriggling strangely. In the blink of an eye, it broke away from his feet and stood up in an instant. Countless pitch-black rays of light quickly gathered in the shadow's body. Slowly, the shadow's blurry face gradually became clear. Its body also became lifelike. In just an instant, another Di Shirtian appeared in front of him. On the shadow's body, whether it was the clothes, the face, the tiger soul saber on his back, or the heavenly punishment divine eye between his brows, the aura on his body was no different from that of his original body. This was completely a copy of himself. When he saw the appearance of a shadow with his own eyes, Di Shirtian couldn't help but have a strange feeling in his heart. This is another version of myself. Looking at the shadow's body was cold, and there was an indifferent expression on its face. Even its eyes revealed a hint of coldness. It was incomparably deep, as if nothing could stay in its heart. It was truly like an emperor that had existed since ancient times, and only I am supreme. Apart from me, the world is just an ant. Defeat this shadow. You will transcend, and at the same time, the power in the shadow's body will also be yours. After obtaining its power and fusing with it, you will naturally break through to become a big ancient demon. This everlasting illusory realm is also given to you. If you can't defeat it, you will never see the light of day again. Fortune and disaster come together. Whether you're a worm or a tiger, I will wait and see." In the void, Ziyue's indifferent voice slowly echoed. "Di Shirtian, kill him." Dark crazily shouted. The everlasting illusory realm. This was the benefit of the everlasting illusory realm. If one could obtain it, it would be a supreme treasure in the 1,000-demon city in the future. One could send subordinates with potential to cultivate in it. When they defeated themselves, they could also break through to the next realm. It was definitely an immeasurable supreme treasure. Those experts who were stuck at a bottleneck would go crazy over it. It was the best place to break through a bottleneck. What was the heavenly demon's treasure? This illusory realm was the real treasure. Extreme Emperor Tharch seal, God Fiend seal. Suppress it for me. Di Shirtian's heart burned with passion. He instantly formed a seal with his hands, and a vast amount of God Fiend power condensed into a huge ancient seal. It expanded with the wind and suppressed shadow. However, the shadow also formed a seal, and its speed was even faster than his. When Di Shirtian's ancient seal formed, the shadow's Emperor Tharch seal appeared above his head and suppressed him. It collided with the God Fiend seal and was annihilated at the same time. Clang! A resplendent saber mark flashed across the void. Sakura only felt a touch of coldness on his neck. His eyes were looking at his back. "I've been killed." To be continued. If you want to know what happens next, please go to www.chidian.com and read more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 598. The fourth update has been delivered. The eruption is over. Everyone, please spend 2 monthly votes. I am in urgent need of monthly votes. I will see if I can continue to erupt tomorrow and let my passion continue. D-Shirt Tion's head flew high up into the air and was thrown backwards. A dazzling saber light slashed across his neck. Tiger Soul. His head was cut off by the shadow's Tiger Soul in an instant. This slash came too fast. It was so fast that it couldn't be faster. It was faster than lightning. He didn't even have the chance to react. Bang! His body fell to the ground and was instantly cut into pieces by the saber aura. The Tiger Soul had been promoted to an Earth-rank demon weapon. Its sharpness was so sharp that it could even kill the undying body. It was extremely domineering and terrifying. Naturally, even his undying bones couldn't stop it. Swoosh! His body was shattered. Suddenly, it seemed to be reassembled. The originally fragmented demon body strangely reassembled thousands of feet away under an inexplicable force. D-Shirtion, who was killed by a single slash, recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye. His head grew back again. His entire body was exactly the same as before. There was no difference at all. He actually came back from the dead and was resurrected. I was actually killed in an instant. D-Shirtion came back to life. His eyes flashed with a strange seriousness. In just an instant, he completely smelled the scent of death. Fast, too fast. He was actually killed so easily in just a blink of an eye. Ever since he stepped on the path of cultivation, he had almost never felt this way. At that moment, he really felt that he was already dead. That helplessness of falling into darkness was something that even gods would fear. With the same cultivation, the same weapon, the same cultivation method, and the same divine ability, I was actually killed in an instant when fighting with my own shadow. Furthermore, it was with the simplest saber technique. In his hands, the most ordinary saber technique could break through my divine ability and unleash unimaginable power. In an instant, D-Shirtion clearly felt how terrifying his own shadow was. In an instant, he also clearly saw his own flaws. Simple moves, but they could unleash unparalleled killing power. This was already the realm of returning to nature. I have many god powers, and each of them is a powerful technique. The Extreme King Emperor's Way, the Extreme King Emperor's Print, the Seven Sins Song, the God's Punishment God Eye, and the Tiger's Roar Sonic Wave. However, he had yet to fully comprehend the essence of these abilities and integrate them into his every move. His speed is not as fast as Shadow's, and his ability to grasp opportunities is not as sharp as Shadow's. If I had used the Fiend God Seal instead of pausing, I wouldn't have been killed so easily. Xiaoqian slowly closed his eyes, and a strange comprehension quickly appeared in his mind. The moment he was killed, he realized where his problem lay. This was the difference between him and the Shadow. The Shadow had mastered all of those mystiques and cultivation methods. He had already reached the pinnacle of mastery. He could use all kinds of techniques with ease. Even the most ordinary of saber techniques could unleash shocking power. All of his divine abilities could be unleashed to their limits. Although they had the same level of cultivation, the Shadow was much more powerful than him. Again, after a while, D-Shirtion's closed eyes suddenly opened. He roared and took a step forward. With a twist of his wrist, the Tiger's Soul was unsheathed. Without any fancy moves, the saber drew a bright saber light in the air. Its sharpness was restrained, and it slashed out. At the same time, an ancient seal was formed in his hand. The Fiend God Seal was held in his hand, but it was not released. Clang! The Shadow also moved instantly. The saber in his hand drew a strange arc light and slashed out again. At the same time, he moved his feet slightly and turned his body. In a split second, he dodged D-Shirtion's sure-kill attack. His body shook, and thousands of demonic aura gushed out from countless pores all over his body. In an instant, it condensed into a crescent-shaped pitch-black saber. Demonic Mistblade. The demonic Mistblade came extremely quickly. When D-Shirtion saw it, he immediately released the fiend god seal above his head. Countless fiend gods rushed out from the ancient seal to protect him. Roar! He opened his mouth and took a deep breath. When he opened his mouth, a domineering tiger's roar swept out like a tide. Countless ripples appeared in the void. It swayed on the terrifying saber light. It was crushed. Swoosh! However, at this moment, the heavenly punishment divine eye opened between the shadow's brows. A ray of annihilation divine light blasted out and blasted the head into smithereens. Di-Shir-Tion died again. Again. Di-Shir-Tion revived under the power of the Wuji illusory land. He closed his eyes and recalled the scene just now in his mind, learning every flaw in it. After a long while, he opened his eyes and shouted. Then, he attacked the shadow again. Rumble! In the fight, an ancient seal fell and killed Di-Shir-Tion for the third time. However, Sakura wasn't discouraged in the slightest. Every time he died, he would always replay the scene of his battle countless times in his mind to find his own flaws. He would understand why he died. He would learn from the experience, learn from the lesson, and then fight again. He died in the shadow's hands again and again, but he was not discouraged and fearless. He charged again. Every time he died and fought with the shadow again, the battle skills in his hands would change drastically. We have the same cultivation method, the same divine ability. There's no reason why I can't do what the shadow can do. Not only do I have to do it, I have to do it better. Di-Shir-Tion's eyes were filled with determination. The shadow was too terrifying. It was a perfect killing machine. His grasp of timing was impeccable. TSK, Lunatic D, this is an opportunity. As long as you can defeat your shadow here, your battle skills will be promoted to an unimaginable realm. You can take this opportunity to completely merge your battle skills into one and perfectly integrate them with yourself. With the simplest battle skills, you can unleash power comparable to a peerless ultimate technique. This is your opportunity to transform into a butterfly. When Dark saw Sakura's figure falling in front of the shadow again and again, he wasn't worried at all. Instead, he shouted excitedly, "You have to learn how to use every bit of power in your body, how to unleash the greatest power with every bit of power, how to use the most ordinary means to produce the ability to kill. As for the use of power and the use of combat skills, I can't teach you these. However, your shadow is the most suitable guide for you in this world. Strength, the grasp of strength, using the smallest amount of strength to unleash the greatest power." Di-Shir-Yin's eyes shone brightly. He hungrily absorbed every bit of experience, filling his body and increasing his strength. Every time he saw the shadow display a combat skill, he would have a strong feeling as if he had seen the bright moon after dispersing the clouds. If your comprehension is extraordinary. In the depths of the Wuji illusion, Ziyu quietly watched Di-Shir-Tion fight with his shadow again and again. A strange light flashed in her eyes. Although it was Di-Shir-Tion who fell every time, she could clearly see that Di-Shir-Tion was like a dry sponge, crazily absorbing every bit of nutrients. Every time he fell and was reborn, he would definitely become stronger. This rate of growth was definitely not an ordinary kind of terrifying. Back then, I divided my primordial spirit into 9 and threw it into reincarnation. I wanted to use the power of reincarnation to make up for the incomplete spirit, turning one body into 9 bodies. Now, when the immeasurable tribulation arrives, it's time for me to return. Ziyu looked at the void thoughtfully. She was only a wisp of Ziyu's primordial spirit left behind, but it was no different from the original body. She could clearly feel the original body situation. Immeasurable tribulation, become immortal. She softly spat out a sentence. Without saying anything else, she turned to watch the battle in the illusion again. Quick, quick, place the lightning gathering towers. Eternal divine thunder. Transport the eternal divine thunder. Every lightning gathering tower must put in 10,000 eternal divine thunder. Those who know formations and restrictions immediately send the restrictions into the city. The divine crystal is extraordinary. Any restriction can be integrated into it. Unleash its power. His Majesty is about to blast open the demon mountain with the ancient city. This is the moment of our demon city's emergence. We must make the heavens and the myriad worlds tremble. In the demon city, the group of demons nervously prepared, and there were busy figures everywhere. However, on the faces of the demons, there was a look of joy and yearning. With the demon city, they had a true refuge. The demon clan was no longer rootless duckweed. Their rise in the future was just around the corner. Next, it was the time for the demon clan to make their first call to the myriad worlds. How could they not put in effort? As soon as they emerged, they would suppress the myriad worlds and deter countless powerhouses. They also shared in the glory. Boom, boom. In the void, terrifying demonic roars continuously reverberated from the huge tunnel. The speed at which the demonic aura gushed out became faster and denser. The demonic aura was getting closer and closer. The attack of the Demon God clan was rapidly approaching. Roar, howl, on the ancient fiendish demon battlefield. In the void, the four great mythical beasts shuttled back and forth between the clouds. The huge bodies of the mythical beasts exuded a vast aura that shook the space. Great demons, the peak of the great demons. The mythical beasts formed by the four great armies had the strength of the peak of the great demons. With the power of the mythical beasts, their combat power could be even more powerful. In particular, the aura of the mythical beasts was naturally exuded. The aura was overwhelming. Below, 8 million demon kings were lined up. Although there was no formation, the fierce aura exuding from each demon king was enough to shake the stars. It shook the heavens. Every demon king's essence, energy, and spirit had reached a peak. With a touch, they would be able to unleash unparalleled destructive power. In front of the 8 million demon kings, a man shrouded in black fog looked coldly at the tunnel. He exuded an evil aura. He licked his lips and said coldly, "Good timing. I haven't had enough of the souls of these demon bastards the last time. Now that they're here, I'm going to eat my fill." Ghost Chariot. Hulusi looked at the man shrouded in black fog and frowned. The attack of the demon gods this time is no small matter. Don't be reckless. Don't be ambushed. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chijian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 599. Ghost Chariot was the only demon saint expert in the fiendish demon battlefield. His ability was extremely strange. He specialized in devouring souls. He had an extraordinary background. In ancient times, he was also known as the nine-headed phoenix. He was also known as the nine-headed bird. He was crimson in color and looked like a duck. The largest one had a wingspan of more than 10 feet. He loved to enter people's souls. There is also a saying that the nine-headed bird was once a dog and often dripped blood. The blood-dripping bird had a vicious crime. It was a vicious bird from ancient times. It loved to devour souls. Wherever it passed, a sinister wind would blow. It was like a chariot with 9 heads. In ancient times, it fed on countless ferocious beast souls. It was absolutely terrifying. It could devour souls to increase its cultivation. It had a sinister aura. Even many demons were afraid of it. Don't worry, Lord Hulusi. Ghost Chariot, have been on the battlefield for so many years. It's not my first time dealing with these demons. Even if the Fiend Celestials come with a vengeance, with the 3 of you here, they won't be able to do much as long as the Fiend Celestial continent doesn't invade on a large scale, Ghost Chariot said nonchalantly. However, his hatred for the Fiend Celestials was no less than that of any other demon. No one would be in a good mood if they were used as a whetstone to sharpen the skills of the other party's descendants. Furthermore, over the years in the Fiend world, countless peerless geniuses of the Fiend race had died on the fiendish demon battlefield. The number of experts was even greater. Even heavenly fiends had fallen one after another. Up until now, only these were left. The blood debt of the Fiend Celestials could no longer be washed away. They had truly reached the point of irreconcilable differences. No matter what, the Fiend Celestials will definitely be more arrogant this time. Their attack will be much stronger than before. With 8 million Demon Kings at the front and 30 million lesser demons at the back, we have to block this attack no matter what. We have to suppress the Fiend Celestial's arrogance, Blissful Boy said coldly. Rumble, rumble. At this moment, the terrifying rumbling of carriages and horses could be heard from the huge tunnel. It was continuous and connected together, as if a flood had broken through a dam and was rolling in. The sky was filled with the sound of thunder. That's the Abyss Chariot. Hearing the dense, galloping sound, the pupils of Huluzi and the others couldn't help but violently contract. Xie Sanyang opened her cherry lips and couldn't help but let out a cry of surprise. A cautious expression appeared on his face. The Abyss Chariot is a mount that only demon gods who have reached the realm of the Sky Demon can possess. The Abyss Chariot, only appeared during the first great demon war between the demon world and the demon god continent. The moment they appeared, there were 30 of them. They killed 4 of our heavenly demons on the spot. Countless other experts were killed or injured. After that, the Abyss War Chariot had not appeared for 10,000 years. This time, the Fiend Celestial clan is out to exterminate us. Gord Luzi's face had turned completely dark, and his murderous aura was gushing out like a geyser. On the demon god continent, the Abyss Chariot was a symbol of status and strength. Those who owned it were all experts who had reached the level of Sky Demon. Judging from the dense galloping of carriages, there was definitely more than one heavenly demon-level demon god traversing through the void from the tunnel. Coming at this time, it was obvious that they wanted to exterminate all the demons in the demon world, thoroughly exterminating all of them. Damn it, this is bad. Blissful Boy clenched his small fists and said angrily, "Those human hypocrites, despicable villains. They actually sealed the demon world, allowing entry but not exit. Now, it's too late, even if we want to evacuate the rest of the juniors." Thinking of what the human Dao ancestors had done in the demon world, he couldn't help but rage. He couldn't stop the flames of anger in his heart. Now that the demon world was sealed, it was impossible to evacuate even if they wanted to. The human race had completely cut off all their escape routes. If the Fiend Celestial clan really wants to exterminate us, then we'll have to leave. If the Fiend Celestial clan really wants to kill us, then we'll have to take out that supreme treasure that our ancient ancestor spent countless efforts to refine. We'll fight them to the death. Gord Luzi's face was filled with murderous aura, and a grim expression tugged at the corners of his mouth. You're talking about that supreme treasure. Xie Sanyang's eyes lit up, but they dimmed in the blink of an eye. She said, "But isn't that supreme treasure still lacking in maturity and hasn't been completely nurtured? If we take it out by force, I'm afraid our plan to nurture the Khanate spiritual treasure will be ruined. The blood and sweat of countless ancestors of our demon race will be destroyed in a single day." There was deep hesitation in his words. That's right. In the ancient times, Khanate spiritual treasures were born from the heavens and earth, and they fell from the chaos. There were very few of them, and each of them contained supreme power. However, the rarest of them all were Khanate spiritual embryos. Our demon race dominated the ancient times and swept through the heavens, but we've only obtained 3 of them. The first one was refined into a demon summoning banner. The second one evolved into the deity Heaven stabilizing bell. As for the third one, it has always been placed in the demon world, nourished by the flesh and blood of fiend celestials and devil souls. It hasn't reached the point of completion yet. We can't destroy a Khanate spiritual treasure that's about to be nurtured until the very end, Blissful Boy said with a serious expression. Gord Luzi was decisive. He said coldly, "These 3 Khanate spiritual embryos were originally obtained by our demon race. Even if they're nurtured into Khanate spiritual treasures, they should belong to us demons. If the demon world is destroyed today, what's the point of obtaining Khanate spiritual treasures?" Roar! Roar! Just as they were talking, the tunnel in the void suddenly expanded violently, and a huge shadow rushed out of the tunnel. The Abyss Chariot. Gord Luzi and C.S. Sanyang couldn't help but blurt out at the same time. They looked up and saw a pitch-black chariot a few hundred feet long hovering in the void in front of the tunnel. There were countless images of fiend celestials on the chariot. Countless fiend celestials appeared on the surface of the chariot, spewing out endless demonic mist. As soon as they appeared, they exuded a terrifying power that suppressed all directions. In front of the chariot were 9 fiend celestial dragons pulling the chariot, letting out thunderous dragon roars. The fiend celestial dragon was also terrifying. It had the slender and noble body of an eastern divine dragon, and a pair of pitch-black dragon wings on its back. Dense black dragon scales covered its entire body. The fiend celestial dragon's demonic chi was blazing, and its draconic aura was vast and mighty. Each fiend celestial dragon's strength was comparable to that of a peak great demon. Together with the chariot, they could really suppress the entire world. On the chariot stood a 1,000-foot fiend celestial with 8 fiend celestial arms. This obvious characteristic was the symbol of the 8-armed fiend celestial clan. Each of its 8 arms held a fiend celestial treasure. Judging from the aura it exuded and the way it distorted the void, there was no doubt that this was a sky demon that was comparable to a heavenly demon. Demons die. The sky demon scanned the battlefield. When he saw the vast array of demons on the battlefield, a trace of disdain appeared at the corner of his mouth. When he looked at Gord Luzi and the other heavenly demons, a brilliant divine light erupted from his eyes, filled with boundless battle intent and ruthlessness. 3 heavenly demons, good? Very good. I've long heard that there are still heavenly demons among the demons. This time, I'll have a good test of your remarkable power, the sky demon roared. With his body, even if he spoke in a low voice, it was as vast as thunder. Rumble. In the tunnel, there was a roar, and another abyss chariot rushed out. Pulling the chariot were also 9 fiend celestial dragons. On the chariot, there was also an 8-armed sky demon. He coldly swept his gaze around and roared. A mere demon realm dares to harm the descendant of a great emperor? You deserve death. This time, I want the entire demon realm to be exterminated. That enraged roar reverberated through the skies. Sure enough, the great fiend celestial war that happened every 100 years would start again in a year. It was not to train the descendants of the fiend celestial clan, but to completely flatten the demon realm. All living beings would be wiped out. It came to vent its anger. Rumble, rumble. The edge of the tunnel shook violently. Vast fiend celestial might spread out. Suddenly, a huge object rushed out of the tunnel. As soon as it came out, it covered a large area of the sky. Judging from its size, it was at least a few 100,000 feet in size. Abyss Battle Island. The pupils of Ugord and the others shrank violently. They looked at the huge object floating in the air. It was a gigantic black floating island. There were countless restrictions on the island, and there were many huge fiend celestials standing there. At a glance, there were no less than 100,000 fiend celestials, and all of them were 8-armed fiend celestials with 8 arms. The fiend celestials' violent auras were enough to shake the void. Dong! 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 On the Abyss Battle Island, there was a pitch-black war drum. This war drum was several 100 feet in size, and countless mysterious fiend celestial runes appeared on its surface. On the war drum, there was a layer of small scales densely packed together. The scales naturally exuded a terrifying deterrent force that made people unable to move. Their hearts trembled with fear. A huge fiend celestial held 8 drumsticks in his hands and hit the war drum heavily. An earth-shattering clap of thunder erupted in the void. It was like countless terrifying fiend celestial dragons roared at the same time. Rings of pitch-black waves spread out in all directions like a tide. Everywhere they passed, space distorted. Pooh! 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 This drumbeat was truly tyrannical. All the fiend celestials felt like countless terrifying thunderclaps were going off in their minds. Their heads were about to explode, and their minds were in great turmoil. Their chi and blood surged, and they felt very uncomfortable. Their bodies were about to shatter into countless pieces. The fiend celestials were still fine. However, the small fiend celestials who had not reached the fiend celestial king realm all turned pale. They could not help but vomit mouthfuls of blood. Their spirits were immediately dispirited, and their fiend celestials fell limp to the ground. When that demonic drum beat, 30 million small fiend celestials instantly lost their ability to fight. The fiend celestial might was unstoppable. Roar! Roar! Countless fiend celestial beasts roared and charged out of the tunnel with bloodshot eyes. They were like a geyser, endless. In an instant, a terrifying sea of fiend celestials gathered on the fiend celestial battlefield. Their roars echoed in the air above the battlefield. The fiend celestials' side suppressed the fiend celestials, gaining the upper hand. If you want to know what happened next, please go to www.chijian.com. There are more chapters. I support the author. I support the original reading. Chapter 600. It's almost at the 600th chapter. I'm feeling a little emotional. The demon god's power descended upon the void, overlooking all living beings. Like a deity in the heavens, the vast power was about to envelop the entire demon realm. The war drums beat, causing 30 million small demons to lose their ability to fight at the same time, giving the demon race a huge show of strength. From the murderous aura, it was clear that the demon god clan was not here to train their troops, but to wipe out the demon realm. Moreover, demonic beasts poured out of the tunnel in an endless stream, but they did not immediately attack. Instead, they divided into different clans and gathered together. There were also abyss war chariots that crossed over. One after another, they came down one after another. In the blink of an eye, there were 12 war chariots shrouded in boundless demonic power above the Abyss War Island. 12 war chariots, 12 sky demon. This power was enough to completely wipe out the entire demon realm. Moreover, all of them were from the lower demon god clans of the demon god continent, the 8-armed demon god. There were no other demon gods. Above the lower demon gods, there were middle demon gods, upper demon god clans, and even the legendary demon god imperial clan that stood at the peak of the demon gods. The higher the rank of a demon god, the more terrifying their strength was. They had all kinds of incredible magical powers. Even the demon soul of a lower demon god would tremble in front of an upper demon god. However, even if it was just a lower demon god clan, the power gathered was strong enough to wipe out the demon realm in one fell swoop. The 12 sky demon clans. Who could be sure that there was no unparalleled demon emperor among them? The sound of the demonic drums rang out like raindrops, covering the entire demon realm. Not only the underground world, but even the surface was filled with the sound of the drums. The sound waves surged on the world's crystal walls, creating countless ripples. Traces of pure, demonic aura seeped out of the demon realm. The demon realm was the world at the top of the myriad worlds. The world was so stable that it stood at the top of the myriad worlds. Although it was sealed by the human race, it was still the focal point of the myriad worlds. As soon as the traces of demonic aura seeped out, it immediately alarmed some terrifying old monsters in the myriad worlds, especially among the human race. Several Tau Ancestor-level peerless powerhouses opened their eyes almost simultaneously. The demonic chi in the demon realm is so thick. Several tyrannical divine wills directly traversed the countless voids and directly entered the demon world. Moreover, none of the demons or demons in the demon world detected them. He swept his gaze over them. In an instant, he found all the information. His divine sense withdrew from the demon realm and gathered in the supreme void. They began to converse using their divine wills. The demon god's channel in the spirit realm has been completely opened. The demon god is invading the spirit realm, and 12 sky demon have come. It seems like they want to destroy the entire spirit realm in one fell swoop. The oblivion tide has yet to arrive, so the passage between the origin continent and the demon god continent has yet to be fully opened. The demon gods are unable to invade the origin world on a large scale. It seems that they only want to destroy the demon realm. In the future, it might become a springboard for the demon god clan's invasion. We have to be on our guard. Leaving the Fey clan alive is ultimately a scourge. Let the demon god exterminate all the Fey clan in the Fey realm and cut off the Fey clan's heritage and foundation. Even if an ancient Fey god were to awaken in the future, without a foundation, he would not be able to stir up any waves. Inform all orthodoxies. After the Fey clan is destroyed, use the divine weapons to suppress the demon god and seal the channel. A few divine senses quickly communicated in the void. Almost in an instant, countless thoughts flashed through their minds. In an instant, they came to a conclusion. After that, the divine senses disappeared. It was as if they had never appeared just now. At this moment, in the sky above a sect in the purple-gold mainland, billowing waves of blood covered the entire sky, enveloping the entire sect in a sea of blood. It's that demon blood god Shweini. Quick, run. Don't let the blood touch you, or your body will be corroded by it. It's over. Why is that demon Shweini here? Our smoke cloud sect is doomed this time. Below the blood sea was a sect called the Smoke Cloud Sect. It was a mid-tier sect with hundreds of thousands of disciples. There was even an immortal guarding it. Demon, how dare you invade my Smoke Cloud Sect? Die. In the mountain behind the sect, a beautiful lady stepped on a white cloud and soared into the sky. With a wave of her hand, a huge palm was formed. She was about to smash the sea of blood apart. TSK, TSK. She's a beauty? On the sea of blood stood a young man in a blood-red robe. His face was handsome, and one could see the shadow of Shweini between his brows. With an evil smile on his face, he looked at the beautiful lady below and shook his head. What a pity. She's just an ant. She can't pique my interest. Right after he said those words, crimson silhouettes appeared from the sea of blood. They whizzed down and instantly arrived before the woman. They simply did not give her the slightest chance to react. After they pounced on her, the woman's body instantly turned into a puddle of blood and was completely devoured by the crimson silhouettes. She merged into the sea of blood. The lady's soul turned into a strand of blood-red hair and fell to the back of Shweini's head. On the strand of hair, one could see the lady's struggling face. However, she couldn't break free and became a strand of hair on Shweini's back. The sea of blood whizzed down. He passed through the sect. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of thousands of strands of blood flew up and fell to the back of his head, becoming his hair. In the sect, not a single living thing was left alive. Shweini's ferocity was almost unstoppable. His bizarre demonic arts were truly inconceivable. Standing on the sea of blood, Shweini scanned the sky with an evil look. There was a strange blood mark between his brows that looked like a twisted tadpole. It made him look even more evil. If not for the fact that I haven't recovered my cultivation from back then, the sea of blood could destroy billions of lives. I wouldn't have to be hunted down by those cultivators just to devour a bit of blood. Shweini looked at the void behind him. He saw a few black dots on the horizon rushing towards him. He couldn't help but frown slightly. He urged the sea of blood, and the sea of blood suddenly disappeared into the blood mark between his brows. His figure flashed, and he hid in the void. He fled into the distance. After traveling hundreds of thousands of kilometers, Shweini suddenly stopped on a mountain peak. A look of surprise appeared on his face as he raised his head and looked into the boundless void. There was a hint of doubt in his eyes. What a familiar aura. It's demonic chi. It's the aura of the demon god continent. Shweini's eyes seemed to be able to see through the void. He sharply sensed the demonic chi emanating from the demon realm. After a careful inspection, he couldn't help but say in surprise, "This is indeed the pure demonic chi from the demon god continent. Why would it suddenly appear in the source continent? Could it be that the demon god continent is invading the myriad worlds of the source heavens?" He couldn't help but frown. A strand of hair slowly swayed in his hand. He muttered, "No, the Source Continent, and the Demon God Continent can only be opened after the tide of annihilation and the chaos. They must be connected. That is the best time. Now is clearly not the time. With such demonic chi, it seems that someone has used a supreme ability to forcibly open the passage between worlds. Interesting. Let's go and see who it is that provoked the demon god to cross worlds. Shuaini smiled evilly. His figure flickered, and he actually flew towards the source of the demonic chi, crossing the void. His figure seemed to be illusory. It was very strange. He wasn't the only one. In a hidden abyss in the Source Continent, there was a man with a terrifying demonic palace floating above his head. Waves of demonic chi emerged from the palace and poured into the man's body. The demonic chi roiled and enveloped the entire abyss. Inexplicably, the man opened his eyes and glanced at the void. A cold light flashed in his eyes. After pondering for a while, he closed his eyes again. Roar! In the back mountain of the Qin family's musical valley, the calm lake water of the demon-subduing lake suddenly shook violently. Countless streams of black, demonic chi roiled wildly and condensed into a terrifying demonic shadow. It let out a series of almost deranged roars. It suppressed the totem statue that was thousands of feet tall on the lake's surface. When the demonic shadow neared, Di Shirtian's totem statue burst out with boundless divine light. The light was incomparably sacred and pure, filled with the beautiful wishes of all living beings. Strands of chi spread out in all directions and collided with the demonic shadow, creating a violent sound. The entire lake began to shake violently. It was as if the entire lake was going to be uprooted. Evil creature, go back. 8 trigrams Heavenly Melody Demon Sealing Formation. Heavenly Melody, rise. The moment the demon-subduing lake shook, 8 divine pillars rose from the edge of the lake, forming an 8 trigrams pattern. The Heavenly Melody was continuous and firmly sealed every strand of demonic chi. Coupled with the power of incense, the demonic chi in the lake was suppressed and could not break out. TSK, TSK, just you wait, you ants. My demon god clan is coming. In the future, when I am free, I will definitely slaughter everyone in the Qin family. I will capture all the women and make them female slaves. I will torture you day and night, imprisoning your souls in the 9 underworlds and never allowing you to ascend. At the bottom of the lake, a furious roar shot into the sky. And Di Shirtian, how dare he suppress me and destroy my demonic soul? If I don't kill him, the hatred in my heart will not be appeased. The roars continued, and the demonic aura was vast and mighty. It continuously attacked the seal, but it was still firmly suppressed by Di Shirtian's totem statue. The power of what gathered inside was so vast that it was unimaginable. In a short time, the news of the demon god's large-scale invasion reached the ears of many powerhouses. Many had already rushed to the demon realm. Kill. At this moment, in the exquisite pagoda under the suppression of the demon mountain, Di Shirtian was still in the Wuji illusion. In the illusion, Di Shirtian and the shadow both held the tiger soul in their hands. Their bodies emitted a fierce, murderous aura as they fought fiercely. The tiger soul in their hands was fatal, and the beautiful arcs of light contained endless murderous intent. Their feet did not stop moving, and they all took strange steps to dodge, and even took the opportunity to slash out a fatal blow. It was the complete opposite of how it was before. At this moment, Di Shirtian's every slash no longer had divine light that shook the void. Instead, it was extremely restrained. Vast and mighty power was contained in the blade, and it would only release endless divine light at the moment when it was about to kill. When he attacked, he was swift and decisive, and he had advanced to the realm of returning to his original state. If you want to know what happened next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 602. First update received. Brothers, Monthly tickets are in short supply. Summon monthly tickets. Lunatic D, 3,000 times. You've already fallen 3,000 times at the hands of the shadow. Your control of your own strength and the fusion of your battle skills have reached a state of returning to the basics. Your strength is contained but not revealed, hidden but not released. Your grasp of battle opportunities has already broken through to another level. Your use of cultivation techniques and divine abilities has reached a level where it's as easy as waving your arms. Right now, you're more than 10 times stronger than before you entered the Wuji illusionary realm. You're already invincible among your peers. Now, you've reached the same level as the shadow. What you need to do now is to defeat it. Dark looked at Di Shirtian, who was fighting fiercely with the shadow, and stroked his dragon whiskers, full of praise. 3,000 times. In the Wuji illusionary realm, Di Shirtian had fallen 3,000 times at the hands of his own shadow. Every time he fell, it was an experience of being officially killed. Dying 3,000 times in a row was no different from walking 3,000 grooves in the reincarnation cycle. Every time he fell, the helplessness of falling into the darkness without any support would have driven any ordinary cultivator crazy on the spot. That was the most terrifying kind of torment. If it wasn't for his unbelievably strong will and the Emperor Tyrant Heart's sutra in his mind, that he was the supreme emperor and feared nothing, even his consciousness would have collapsed, and he would have gone crazy on the spot. He would have sunk into madness and completely sunk into oblivion. Between life and death, there was great terror. To overcome such terror, one must have great perseverance. With life and death as the cauldron and the heart of the emperor as the furnace fire, one would be reborn from the fire. What one would obtain would be boundless perseverance, great courage, and unshakable obsession. I'm the real body, a mere shadow. Even if it has all my abilities and unparalleled battle strength, it doesn't have true wisdom. Watch how I defeat you. 3,000 deaths. It's time to return the favor by tempering my battle skills. Di Shirtian's eyes shone brightly. The tiger soul in his hand swung out like lightning. Every strike was like the horn of an antelope, untraceable. Streaks of beautiful arcs of light formed naturally. Although he didn't use the unparalleled battle skills of the Emperor Dao and only used ordinary saber techniques, he had already entered the realm of Dao. It was simple, yet contained boundless killing power. His footsteps did not stop for even a moment. The shadow had all of his battle skills, and each battle skill had already reached the pinnacle. Although it was also a battle saber, it was often impossible for a single killing move to reach its target. It would be blocked halfway. Di Shirtian had no choice but to instantly change his saber techniques. It was the same when the shadow attacked. Often, Di Shirtian would see through at the moment it made its move. Clang! Clang! Countless saber lights were distributed throughout the entire Wuji illusory realm. They were densely packed, and hundreds of millions of afterimages appeared. The lightning-fast saber technique caused the afterimages to be replaced by new afterimages before they could disappear. The Shadow's combat skill was at its peak, but could no longer kill Di Shirtian so easily. It was almost a situation where they were evenly matched. Every time he died, he would try his best to absorb the reason for his death. He would discard all of his shortcomings, get rid of the dross, and extract the essence. Whether it was his divine ability or battle technique, he would reach the same height as the shadow. Emperor Dao of the Extreme Emperor, Death of the Gods and Demons. After Di Shirtian collided with the shadow, he instantly retreated thousands of feet away due to the explosive force of the expansion. With a twist of his wrist, the countless gods and demons in the tiger's soul roared with indignation. A boundless sense of sorrow instantly swept through the entire illusory realm, causing the space within the illusory realm to be filled with sorrow. If there were plants here, even the plants would mourn and blood would rain down from the sky. In the tiger's soul, boundless gods and demons gathered instantly. The saber vibrated, and the surrounding space was annihilated inch by inch. The dazzling saber light instantly burst out thousands of feet. It was so condensed that it was solid. The saber naturally slashed toward the shadow. In the saber, there seemed to be boundless power that could annihilate heaven and earth. The saber light was as fast as lightning. Moreover, the saber directly blocked all the escape routes of the shadow. A deep divine light flashed into Shadow's eyes. His body shook, and the 36 Dharma forms behind him roared and rushed out. Boundless Dharma power was applied to him. Crack! The heavenly punishment divine eye opened between his eyebrows. The Dharma power poured into the divine eye, causing the divine light flowing in the divine eye to become even more dazzling. A divine light shot out from the divine eye. After the purple divine light burst out, it instantly split into 4 terrifying beams of light. They condensed into 4 divine feathers. Heavenly punishment divine eye, 5-color divine light. The 5-color divine lights were missing one part, so they were not perfect. However, at this moment, with the power of Dharma Laksana, the power contained in the divine lights reached an unbelievable level. Every beam of divine light weighed more than 10 million caddies, and they could sink the earth and shake the stars. The domineering origin of the 5 elements flowed in the divine feathers. One of the 5 elements was missing: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. Ding dong! However, the shadow released the 7 sins demonic zither in an instant. The earthy yellow earth spiritual pearl embedded in the zither suddenly burst out a pure divine light and rushed into the divine eye. Boom, boom! With the support of the earth spiritual pearl, the origin of the earth in the 5 elements plate of the divine eye was temporarily complete. Another beam of divine light separated and turned into an earthy yellow divine feather. 5-color divine light complete. The complete divine light had the 5 elements circulating endlessly. It instantly increased the power of the divine light to an incredible level. One of the crimson divine feathers moved suddenly and swept toward the tiger soul. Wherever it passed, the void was completely distorted and collapsed. Countless domineering flames swallowed everything. It collided head-on with the tiger soul. The other 4 beams of divine light formed a fan shape and swept toward D, Shirtion one after another. Wherever the divine light passed, the entire world turned into chaos. Countless elements of earth, fire, water, and wind appeared crazily. Anything that came under the divine light would be crushed into dust. Oomph! You came at the right time. Even if your shadow's battle power is unparalleled, you still don't have intelligence. You only have battle instincts. You fell for my trick in the end. D. Shirtion saw how the shadow actually made the 5-color divine light reach its complete state. He even used the Dharma power to instantly increase the power of the 5-color divine light to an immeasurable level. At this moment, the peak of the Demon King's cultivation was enough to kill a demon saint and threaten a heaven demon. However, the crimson divine light that went toward the tiger soul suppressed the tiger soul and easily defeated the saber light on the tiger soul. It was so relaxed that it was a little strange. D. Shirtion, on the other hand, looked calm. The tiger soul divine light in his hand was withdrawn. The god fiend mourning just now was just a feint to lure out the shadow's most powerful attack. Huang Quan's protection. When D. Shirtion saw the 5-color divine light rolling toward him, divine light flashed between his brows. At the same time, the divine eye of heaven's punishment quickly opened. The moment it opened, a long, rolling river roared out from the divine eye and condensed into a dark green divine dragon. It coiled up and protected D. Shirtion. The dragon head raised to the sky and let out a domineering dragon roar. It directly extracted the holy river of Huang Quan that was nurtured in the nether prison and turned it into the nether dragon's protection. Virtual illusory land. A beam of light flashed behind Indra as a complete scroll appeared above his head. When it was unfurled, the slender scroll unfurled. Within the scroll, there were countless images floating about as though it was a dream. There were old farmers farming, birds flying in the sky, wealth and ordinary people. Gold and jade filled the building, beautiful people and books, and many carriages and horses. The high and mighty emperor, the ant-like commoners, and all kinds of living beings appeared in the scroll. It really looked like there was another vivid world in the painting. Domain, virtual illusory land. In a virtual illusory land, billions of divine light shot out. The endless power of desire appeared in the void, as if there was another world in the scroll. This was the second defense. 7 sins demonic zither. Earth spirit protection, wood spirit protection, dark heaven creation, protect my body. The 7 sins demonic zither appeared above his head, and 2 divine lights descended. One blocked outside his body, and the other merged into his body. Then billions of gentle divine lights descended from the zither. Ultimate Emperor, Emperor Seal, Celestial Demon Seal, Emperor Seal, Tautai Seal, Blissful Seal, suppress the 4 extremes. For ancient seals hung in the 4 directions. In the 4 symbols formation, they completely isolated the void outside D. Shirtion, turning into another independent world. 4 layers of defense, and attack. It was completed in an instant. As long as I block this attack, the power of the Shadow Dharma form will be exhausted. Before I die, I won't be able to use it again. But I still have the power of the Dharma form and the divine eye of heavenly punishment. I don't believe that I can't suppress you with countless means. D. Shirkin's fighting spirit burst out like a storm. The aura of an emperor surged from his body, as if he was the only one in the world. Crazy D, I'm here to help you. Boundless nether prison. When Dark saw this, he shouted excitedly. With a sway of his dragon body, another world appeared outside Sakra's body with a loud bang. It directly showed the 19 layers of nether prison in the divine eye of heavenly punishment. In the nether prison, there were countless figures struggling with divine souls. Countless prison guards were walking. The whole nether prison suddenly turned into an imperial robe, draped over D. Shirkin's body. On the imperial robe, countless ghosts and gods wept, exuding a kind of peerless ferocity. Countless prison guards appeared on the robe. For a moment, he was like a peerless nether emperor. All of this was completed in an instant. At the moment it was completed, the 5-color divine light descended. The 5-color divine light was complete, and the 5 elements circulated endlessly. Each divine light was terrifyingly heavy. First, the reddish-gold divine light fell and collided with the 4 ancient seals. The ancient seals were connected by the 4 symbols formation. This collision immediately brought them into a stalemate and violently shook. Countless gods, demons, Buddhas, emperors, and Tautais emerged. They competed with the divine light. The surrounding void was annihilated. Rumble. After a moment of stalemate, the reddish-gold divine light gradually dimmed, and the 4 ancient seals exploded and blasted on the divine light, making it dim on the spot. Even if the 5 elements were connected, it still couldn't stop it. At the cost of the divine light being weakened to 30%, the first defense was broken. The 5 elements alternated, and the second green divine light fell and collided with the virtual illusory realm. Although the virtual illusory realm was formed by the domain, it was not part of the 5 elements and was full of the power of desire. However, it couldn't stop the peerless divine ability with the power of Dharma Laksana. After a stalemate, it was also broken, but at the same time, it also consumed more than half of the power in the divine light. However, D. Shirtion didn't intend to completely block the 5-color divine light with them. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chijian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 603. 600 chapters. Begging for monthly votes. Continue with the 3rd chapter. Consumption. These layers of defense were meant to continuously deplete the power contained in the 5-color divine light. deplete it to the point where it could be countered. At that time, even if he used his strongest attack, the five-color divine light would be destroyed on the spot. Naturally, he would be able to completely neutralize the shadow's superpower. Once it was neutralized, it would be his turn to gain the upper hand. Bang, bang, bang. The five-color divine light alternated. It collided with the defense that Tion had set up outside. The virtual illusory land, the Earth's spiritual pearl's defense, and the hell dragon that Huang Quan had transformed into were all destroyed. However, at the same time, more than half of the power of the five-color divine light was destroyed. Looking at the five-color divine light again, although it was still there, the divine light on its surface had become extremely dim. Even so, the surrounding space was still being destroyed by the divine light. Dharma power, appear. Sakura was clad in the underworld emperor's robe. With a shake of his body, 36 mystical avatars appeared behind him in the blink of an eye. The avatars let out a series of roars that shook the void. Vast amounts of avatars were channeled into their bodies. Boom, boom. The void outside his body shook violently. Tian's entire body instantly expanded wildly. 100 feet, 1,000 feet. In an instant, he had expanded to 3,000 feet. His eyes were as deep as the sun and the moon. Divine light surrounded him. Looking at the five-color divine light, he waved the tiger soul in his hand. Extreme Emperor Way, Celestial Demon Morning. The blade contained endless celestial demon power, and a mystical black tiger was entrenched on it. Instantly, it slashed at the five-color divine light. Vast and mighty power poured out. The five-color divine light was just the tip of a powerful bow. How could it block the tiger soul's sharpness? With one slash, it was reduced to dust and completely collapsed. Extreme Emperor Way, Devourer of the Tao Tai. Tian blasted the five-color divine light away. Instantly, his hand changed from Celestial Demon Morning to Devourer of the Tao Tai. Instantly, a huge Tao Tai formed above the tiger soul. The terrifying head that was much larger than its body looked ferocious. Tao Tai merged with this sovereign. Tian roared. The Tao Tai that was hovering above his head suddenly descended, colliding with his demonic body. The mystical thing was that the Tao Tai seemed to be illusory, and it strangely fused together with the demonic body, as though it was possessed by the Tao Tai. Devouring shadow body. Tian fused with the Tao Tai and instantly obtained the innate ability of the Tao Tai. Opening his mouth, his entire mouth transformed into a terrifying black hole. The devouring power instantly shrouded the entire Wuji dreamland. The shadow was the first to bear the brunt of the devouring power. It directly swallowed the shadow into its stomach. Divine ability, great stomach capacity. Tian roared. The talent he had gained after practicing the book of the Royal Extreme Shocking World began to cast. His entire stomach turned into a giant swamp. He trapped the shadow in his stomach and used his power to refine the shadow. Especially when the Tao Tai fused with his body, this kind of divine ability was strengthened by 100 times in an instant. Shadow, my battle skills, divine abilities, and even my own strength have all been refined into one. I have returned to my original state. When I fight with you, I will be able to defeat you. You have served your purpose. In that case, give me all your strength and fuse with me again. Although you have battle instincts, you do not have the most important intelligence. Watch as this sovereign refine you. Demon refining cauldron. Indra's expression was cold. After the shadow was swallowed into his stomach, it was currently frenziedly attacking, wanting to rip his stomach apart. However, the great belly fusion innate technique unleashed a shocking might at this moment. His entire stomach seemed to have transformed into another independent world. Also, it was incomparably tough. All attacks that blasted into it would actually dissipate in an instant after they were swallowed up. Boom, boom, boom. In the demon residence, a 7th-grade black lotus flew out of the cauldron. Then, the demon refining cauldron that had been suppressing the center of the demon residence turned into a stream of light and rushed out of the demon residence, rushing into the stomach. The demon refining cauldron had always existed with the demon residents. As Di Shirtian's strength grew, so did it. It could refine everything in the world and devour boundless vitality, refining it into the purest energy. Its divine ability seemed gentle, but it was extremely domineering. It was because of it that Di Shirtian's cultivation speed could reach such a level. Moreover, his true force was unbelievably pure. Using the demon refining cauldron, he wanted to completely refine the shadow. Boom, boom, boom. In his body, the entire stomach turned into a terrifying space. It was like a swamp. The shadow stood in it, waving his saber with a cold expression. He wanted to blast this space open, but when the saber light landed on his stomach, it was strangely devoured. Suddenly, a large cauldron that looked like white jade fell from the sky. With a bang, it covered the shadow. Boom! The lid of the cauldron came crashing down with lightning speed, covering the demon refining cauldron. Celestial demon seal, emperor seal, bliss seal, Tao-Tai seal, suppress. At this moment, Di Shirtian was invincible. With the support of the Dharma power, his combat strength instantly leaped above the shadow. Now that he had swallowed the shadow into his stomach and occupied the home ground, there was no reason for him not to pursue and attack. The four ancient seals immediately suppressed the demon refining cauldron. The cauldron rumbled continuously, and the shadow madly attacked the cauldron. Unfortunately, the shadow was weakened and the shadow was strengthened. It could not break open the cauldron at all. Divine eye of punishment. Divine flame of punishment. With a roar, a purple-gold divine flame appeared under the demon refining cauldron. It emitted an endless amount of divine power. In an instant, the jade cauldron began to spin. The cloud patterns on the cauldron emitted a mysterious aura. Boom, boom, boom. The demon refining cauldron was pushed to its limit, erupting with endless power. Instantly, as the cauldron spun, streams of pure royal true power were thrown out of the cauldron. Di Shirtian wanted to refine the shadow like a spiritual medicine. Royal true power returned to the Black Lotus, attacked the demon vein, condensed the true aperture. Di Shirtian immediately moved the royal true power from the cauldron into the demon abode, sending it into the grade 7 Black Lotus. The Black Lotus spun 9 times, completely merging the true power with his body, turning it into his own strength. Then, from the Black Lotus, a vast amount of royal true power gushed out, rushing toward the 6th demon vein, the listening demon vein. He was cultivating the 6th volume of the royal book of shocking the world. It was the 6th demonic meridian in the body. The previous 5 were the demonic meridian of sorrow, the demonic meridian of joy, the demonic meridian of rage, the demonic meridian of taste, the demonic meridian of sight, and the current 6th demonic meridian of hearing. Moreover, after completing his cultivation, the taste demon vein gave birth to the remarkable ability, big stomach capacity. The sight demon vein gave birth to the clairvoyance. If this 6th volume was completed, the listening demon vein would give birth to the remarkable ability, clairvoyance. The boundless royal true power rushed towards the 6th demonic vein at high speed. Moreover, in the demon refining cauldron, vigorous true power was continuously refined. Di Shirtian's strength seemed to be increasing all the time. You can do it. Lunatic D. The power obtained from refining the shadow is enough to allow you to break through to the 7th transformation demon core, breaking the boundary between Demon King and Great Demon. Dark squeal happily, as expected of an emperor with great perseverance and great comprehension. In the depths of the Wuji mirage, Ziyu witnessed Di Shirtian's action of swallowing the shadow. A strange light flickered in her eyes, and a hint of surprise appeared. Di Shirtian was able to raise his battle strength to the same level as the shadow after falling 3,000 times. This level of comprehension is comparable to a peerless genius. Moreover, the cultivation technique he's cultivating is not one of the ones I left behind. The cultivation technique contains the power of desire. The power cultivated is incomparably pure. It can also give birth to remarkable abilities. Since ancient times, there have only been a few such cultivation techniques. Once cultivated, no one in the world can cultivate it again. It's a unique existence. Could it be that he has entered a divine tomb? Or did he create it himself? Although she could see most of Di Tian's remarkable abilities and power at a glance, she did not understand the royal shocking book that he cultivated. If she had not witnessed the battle between him and the shadow before, and the power of desire that burst out from each other, she would not have known that his cultivation technique contained the power of desire. She only thought that he cultivated the pure way of the emperor. Her birth was incomparably noble. Her knowledge was even broader than that of a peerless expert. However, she could not see through Di Tian's cultivation technique at a glance. What did this mean? It meant that this cultivation technique was definitely beyond her imagination, surpassing the heaven stage. A heaven stage cultivation technique was a cultivation technique that only a peerless expert could possess. Surpassing the heaven stage was simply above the heavens, immortal and eternal. Only a peerless expert could cultivate it. In the world, there were only a handful of such experts. If it was the former, then it would be fine. But if it was the latter, then even Ziyue could not imagine how terrifying that would be. She fixed her gaze on Di Tian, a strange light flashing in her eyes. Fine. I'd like to see how far you can go, Ziyue said calmly. She did not care much about what Di Tian cultivated. Even if it was a cultivation technique surpassing the heaven stage, even if she knew, no one else would be able to cultivate it. Di Tian stood in the everlasting illusion for a full 3 months. Rumble. Suddenly, in the everlasting dreamland, a pitch-black tribulation cloud suddenly appeared. Moreover, in the blink of an eye, it covered the entire dreamland. It was dark and oppressive, emitting a vast aura. Endless pressure spread out and pressed down on Sakura, who was below. Countless purple lightning shuttled back and forth in the clouds intensely. Demonic tribulation of the 7 Nines? He actually attracted the heavenly lightning of the purple firmament. This is tribulation lightning that might not even appear in the 9x9 demonic tribulation. He actually attracted it. Ziyue frowned. However, she did not stop it. Heavenly tribulation was a tribulation, but it was also good fortune. Demonic cultivators faced many tribulations, but they were far stronger than other cultivators of the same level. After this tribulation, he'll reach the 7th cycle. What Ziyue did not know was that Di Tian was facing a double tribulation. The outside tribulation could only be withstood with his physical body, but the inside tribulation required supreme willpower. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 604. I'm almost at 2 million words. I'm begging for votes. Innate purple jade, 10,000 years steel essence, longevity, wood essence, stellar gold. My goodness, this is indeed the last collection of the demon race. The treasures they left behind for their descendants are really rich. Every single one of them is a rare treasure. These are really the treasures left behind by the ancient demon race. Dark looked around and saw the treasures on the shelves. His eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Treasures. These were the last treasures of the ancient demon clan. One could imagine how precious they were. Everything that could be placed in the Linglong treasure house was 1 in 10,000 treasures. Many of the materials could only be found in the ancient era. The ones that could be found now were extremely rare. Patter. Di Tian walked past most of the treasures. Although these treasures were precious, they were not all in the exquisite treasure vault. The real treasures were the medicinal pills and spiritual essences. Just as Ziyu said, this treasury is enough to nurture an ancient demon god, a peerless expert. The pills and spirit essences contained in here are definitely more than what you would find in an ordinary place. Let me see what kind of medicinal pills there are. Tion was very curious. Moreover, these two things were far more precious than the others. Medicinal pills could increase one's cultivation. With the living soil of the 9 heavens, any spiritual essence could grow and grow at an incomparably fast speed. The effects were even purer. In the 1,000 Demon Cities Jade Pool, there were the Peach Garden, 100 Her Garden, and 100 Flower Garden. The Peach Garden planted all kinds of peach trees, while the 100 Herb Garden planted all kinds of spiritual essences. It was managed by Susu. In the Jade Pool, she was already known as the 100 Herb Fairy. The 100 Herb Garden planted all kinds of strange flowers. Spirit essence was a good thing. In his hands, spirit essence could be regenerated into spirit essence. It was endless and inexhaustible. Compared to the precious materials, he valued the precious spiritual essences more. Some of them had gone extinct in the ancient era and had been harvested to the last. Perhaps there might be some in the vault. TSK, look, that's a blood lotus seed. That's a heaven-tier spirit item that only exists in the Nether Blood Sea. It's a treasure that grows in the Blood Sea. It still has life energy. If you plant it in the Jade Lake, it'll grow into a blood lotus. That jade pool of yours was formed by refining flesh and blood. The best place for it to grow. In the future, when the blood lotus grows and produces lotus seeds, eating one will give you endless benefits. On the shelf where the spirit essence was placed, there was a jade box in which there was a blood-colored lotus seed with countless mysterious Tao patterns. The lotus seed naturally exuded the charm of the great Tao. After swallowing it, it could help a cultivator comprehend the heavenly Tao and increase their cultivation level. It could also transform them into blood gods. It was incomparably miraculous. Good stuff. I remember that there's a blood lotus wine in the wine god's treasure book. The main ingredient is this blood lotus seed. When Tion saw this, he nodded to himself and put it away. He was going to send it into the jade pool later and plant it. This is an azura flower. Legend has it that it's a spiritual essence that can only grow if it's watered with the essence blood of the Azura tribe. What is this? It's the Tao Comprehension Immortal Tea. This was a saint-grade item that could help an unparalleled expert comprehend the great Tao and break through to the next realm. Treasure, this is truly a treasure trove. Along the way, just the items in the first layer of the treasure trove made Ming exclaim in surprise. He was completely shocked by the treasures in the treasure trove. These spirit essences were well preserved, and the life force within them had yet to dissipate. He didn't hesitate to put them away. When he returned to the 5th heaven, he would go to Spider Lily Island to look for the living soil of the 9 heavens and use it to cultivate these spirit essences. It would increase the wealth of Demon City. Ming, release your divine sense and search this level of the treasure trove. See if there are any of the 5 godstones. Tian's eyes were like lightning as he quickly scanned through the countless treasures. He directly skipped over the spirit essences in front of him. He began to search to see if he could find any of the 5 godstones. Watch me. Ming didn't refuse. A powerful divine sense emerged from his body and quickly scanned the huge treasure trove. Everywhere it passed, the treasures in the treasure trove were imprinted in his mind. He didn't know how many treasures he had scanned in just a moment. Although there are many treasures in the first layer of the treasure trove, there aren't any of the 5 godstones. There are 3 layers of the treasure trove. Besides this one, there are 2 more layers. According to the usual practice, the higher the layer, the more precious the treasures there are. Maybe we can find them up there. Ming retracted his divine sense and said with some regret, "Okay." Although he was here to take over the treasure trove, his real purpose was to see if he could find the 5 godstones that the Heaven Gate needed. He could put everything else aside for the time being. After obtaining the treasure trove, he immediately turned his attention to the 2nd layer and walked up the stairs at the edge. The space in the treasure trove had the ability to store a mustard seed. It didn't look big from the outside, but inside, it was like the Bohai Sea. When he entered the 4th heaven, he saw the same decorations as before. However, the glow of treasures was 10 times stronger than what he had seen before. Furthermore, there weren't many items on display, but each and every one of them was a priceless treasure. Crazy D, look, take 19 steps forward and turn left. The first jade box has a rich cloud aura inside. I know this aura. It's the smell of the heaven cloud soul essence. The moment he entered the second layer, Ming suddenly became excited and hurriedly shouted, Heaven cloud soul essence? It's the main material for refining the cloud gathering banner. When Di Shirtian heard this, he quickly walked to the designated location without hesitation. In the blink of an eye, he had arrived at his destination. He looked over. His eyes suddenly lit up. Heaven cloud soul essence. You can't see a single piece normally, but there are as many as 3 here. It's a rare treasure that can only be obtained after the fall of a heaven cloud beast that is at least 1,000,000 years old. Di Shirtian looked at the jade box. In the box, there were 3 hexagonal crystals, which were filled with clouds and mist. In the crystals, there was a strange little beast breathing in clouds. The crystals were like crystals, but they were beautiful. They were so gorgeous that any woman who saw them would fall in love with them. He put them in his bag. What a rich cloud aura. Just one is enough to refine a cloud gathering banner. It can hold up the 1,000 demon city. There are indeed treasures here. Quick, quick, see if there are any more of the 5 sacred stones. Ming's eyes lit up. Seeing these rare treasures, he was also very excited. He hurriedly scanned the entire treasury with his divine sense. In just an instant, he shouted again, Quick, 30 steps to the right and turn left. There's the 3rd jade box. The thing inside can actually block my divine sense. It might be one of the 5 sacred stones. The 5 sacred stones had the same characteristic, which was that they could not be detected with divine sense. Sometimes, sacred objects would conceal themselves and restrain their divine light, just like ordinary objects. If one wanted to find it, they would have to rely entirely on luck and luck. It was because the sacred stones were hard to find. Although Di Shirtian came to the treasury, he did not think that he would be able to find them here. Ming's words were a pleasant surprise. I hope it's one of the 5 sacred stones. He quickly put away the heaven cloud soul essence and rushed in the direction that Ming pointed. In a flash, he arrived and looked over. Immortal stone. The first thing that entered his eyes was the label at the bottom of the jade box. There were 4 ancient demon characters written on it. Immortal stone. It's indeed one of the 5 sacred stones. The immortal stone can make the gate of heaven immortal and difficult to damage. Even if it is damaged, it can quickly recover. He could not help but feel ecstatic. He hurriedly reached out and opened the treasure box. The moment he opened it, it did not emit any divine light like the other rare treasures. However, there was a simple and ancient aura to it. The stone was not big, only the size of a fist. It was also hexagonal, but there was no treasure light. However, there was a faint eternal charm on this stone. Even time could not stay on it. There are a total of 6 immortal stones. Now, there could be one on the gate of heaven. This exquisite treasure house really didn't disappoint me. Sakura took a deep breath and forcefully suppressed the excitement in his heart. Now that he had obtained the sealing stone on the 1,000 demon cities gate of heaven, plus the immortal stone in front of him, it could definitely increase the ancient city's defense in an instant. The 4 gates of heaven replaced the city walls. The gates of heaven were immortal and indestructible, which meant that the ancient city could also withstand terrifying attacks and not be damaged. Good stuff. This treasury is really the wealth accumulated by the demon clan for countless years. Lunatic D, hurry up to the 3rd level. I can probably guess what is stored in the 3rd level of the treasury. It must be an elixir, and to nurture an ancient demon god. If I'm not wrong, it must be the most famous elixir in ancient times. Ming seemed to have thought of something, and his entire spirit suddenly became excited. He hurriedly shouted, If it's really as I guessed, Lunatic D, you're really going to be rich. What elixir are you guessing? Sakura put the eternal stone away in passing, and he couldn't help but feel curious because it wasn't common for something to be able to make Ming so excited. Even if it was an elixir, it must be extraordinary. However, as he asked, he still walked up to the third level without stopping. TSK, Lunatic D. In ancient times, there were no heavenly realms, demon realms, or even the myriad realms surrounding the void in this origin world. At that time, the heaven and earth Yuan Qi on the origin continent was almost unimaginably rich. Moreover, the heaven and earth Yuan Qi at that time evolved from the Qi of chaos in a Khanate Yuan Qi. Therefore, at that time, the entire continent gave birth to countless tyrannical races and a large number of Khanate great gods. When they breathed, they swallowed Khanate Yuan Qi, so it was not difficult for them not to be strong. Peerless geniuses were endless. Experts were like carps crossing the river, like the stars in the sky. There was no lack of yearning in Ming's voice. How I wish I could have been born in ancient times. Di Shirtian nodded and said without hesitation, Ancient times, that was the era of the strong. Unfortunately, those great gods opened up their own worlds after cultivating, thinning out the origin continent's Yuan Qi. To be continued. If you want to know what happened next, please go to www.chidian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 605. Even though the source continent is connected to the chaos and can absorb the chaos chi to transform it into the essence chi of heaven and earth, it still can't support it. Every time a new world is born, the essence chi of heaven and earth on the continent will become thinner. In the end, although thousands of worlds are born, the Khanate essence chi on the source continent will drop to acquired essence chi. It will no longer be Khanate. Ming said emotionally, the essence chi will drop to acquired essence chi. It can no longer breed a large number of powerful Khanate great gods like it did in ancient times. Even the speed of his cultivation had been reduced by many times. In ancient times, it was easy to cultivate to Demon King. No matter how bad one's aptitude was, one could achieve it. It wouldn't be as difficult as it is now. Indeed, it made sense. In ancient times, even breathing was Khanate essence chi. The living beings of that time all had strong physical bodies and domineering strength. They could move mountains and fill seas with a wave of their hands. It was a great era full of mysteries. If it was Sakura in that era, what he breathed in and out was innate chi. His achievements would most likely have already reached the demon saint realm. That speed was extraordinarily fast. Because of the Khanate essence chi, there was almost no market for elixirs that could increase cultivation in ancient times. Instead, elixirs that could increase cultivation were the most precious. There were only elixirs that couldn't keep up with cultivation. But there were exceptions. Ordinary elixirs were naturally not valued by ancient times. But there was one type that was the most popular. It was called Heaven Essence Elixir. Heaven Essence Elixir? Di Shirtian said in surprise. TSK, Heaven Essence Elixir. That's a good thing. Actually, if you really want to name it, it can be called Khanate Essence Elixir. Ming licked his lips. An elixir that is condensed from Khanate Essence Chi. The radiance in Sakura's eyes instantly shot out tens of meters away, almost piercing through the void. Countless perilous waves rolled up in his heart. He immediately understood the mystery of the Heaven Essence Elixir for Ming. This origin was too inconceivable. That's right. It's a great medium who absorbs Khanate Essence Chi and purifies it to condense Heaven Essence Elixirs that are completely condensed from Khanate Essence Chi. Every pill was formed by the condensation of Xiantian Yuan Qi and finally solidification. It contained a pure and enormous amount of Xiantian Yuan Qi. In ancient times, heavenly essence pills were still used as currency. Ming smiled and said, if you take the heavenly Yuan elixir, your cultivation speed will be dozens of times faster than simply absorbing Xiantian Yuan Qi. In ancient times, the heavenly primary elixir was nothing. After all, the world was filled with innate vital energy. However, it took a lot of effort to condense it. Unless one was a demonic sage or above, one would not be able to condense the heavenly primary elixir. However, in the current situation where there was no innate vitality, it was the most precious cultivation elixir. TSK, TSK, the 100 primordial clans, great sects, and great forces would probably have great divine ability experts in the void at the edge of the origin continent to absorb the innate primordial chi evolved from chaotic chi and condense it into heavenly primordial pills for the disciples of the sects to cultivate. But their numbers are definitely not large. You're saying there might be heavenly origin pills in the third layer? Di Shirtian's heart trembled violently. In ancient times, heavenly primordial pills contained innate vital energy, so they were naturally nothing special. However, in the current situation where innate vital energy was acquired, heavenly primordial pills were the most precious elixir in the world. If one cultivated with heavenly primordial pills, 1 year's cultivation speed would be comparable to 100 or even 1,000 years' worth of cultivation for others. One cultivated with acquired vital energy, while the other cultivated with innate vital energy. There was no need to compare the two. If there were heavenly primordial pills in the third layer, how many elites could be nurtured? How many times faster would their cultivation speed be? The various benefits made Di Shirtian's eyes turn red. Bang, bang, bang. Di Shirtian strode forward. In the blink of an eye, he had crossed the steps and rushed to the third layer. He pushed open the door. Hiss! Even with Di Shirtian's tenacity, he could not help but gasp when he saw the scene in front of him. His eyes flashed with countless stars. This is heavenly primordial pills. This amount. My goodness. Di Shirtian's eyes widened. He stood at the door, forgetting to continue forward, because the scene in front of him was 2F** king shocking. Mountains. Mountains of pills piled up. Each of them was the size of a thumb, white and flawless. They were like precious pearls, and mysterious Tao patterns appeared on their surface. They exuded an ancient charm. Each of them was like the most perfect piece of art. There were so many of them that they could not be counted. When they were piled up, they formed mountains of pills. There were a total of 9 such mountains of pills. The air was filled with pure Xiantian Yuan Qi. Haha, we're rich. Crazy D, you're rich. No wonder Violet Moon dares to say that the things here can nurture an ancient Yao god. My goodness, there are 9 mountains of pills, and each mountain is piled up with 1 trillion heavenly primordial pills. 9 mountains of pills, that's 9 trillion heavenly primordial pills. Even a peerless expert would go crazy over this. Dark laughed maniacally. With this huge amount of heavenly primordial pills, there's no need to worry about the rise of the Yao clan. In just 100 years, countless experts can be nurtured. This is the real wealth that Violet Moon left behind. Di Shirtian was also going crazy. With so many heavenly primordial pills, how many subordinates could he nurture? This was the capital that Violet Moon left for the Yao clan. With so many pills, he could nurture tens of millions of Yao kings, millions of greater Yao, and hundreds of thousands of Yao saints. He could even nurture heavenly Yao. With him, it would be difficult for his power not to expand. Phew! He exhaled deeply, and a complicated look appeared in his eyes. He looked around and thought to himself, Violet Moon, oh Violet Moon, it seems that I'm going to owe you an immeasurable debt. Although you might not take it to heart, if there's a chance in the future, I'll naturally return all of this to you. Good, good, good. Di Shirtian calmed himself down and said in a deep voice, with this amount of heavenly primordial pills, I have a way to make the 1,000-demon city a true holy land of the Yao clan. He took out his storage ring, and with a wave of his hand, the 9 trillion heavenly primordial pills were all stored in it. This thing was too precious. He had to keep it in his hands and store it in the imperial treasury for future use. Let's go. Back to the 1,000-demon city. Di Shirtian walked out of the treasury decisively. His eyes shone brightly, and he said, I'm now a great ancient Yao, with a 7th transformation Yao core and an 8th grade Black Lotus. Indestructible bones, blood transfusion rebirth, Dharma form, Tiger Soul upgraded to an Earth rank Yao Soldier, 1000 Demon City built, and my combat skills have been refined by the Wuji Dreamland to reach the peak. It's time to remove the demonic mountain above my head. When he thought of himself being suppressed under the five-finger demonic mountain, a terrifying flame burned in his heart. It was only a step away from erupting. Strength. Everything was built on strength. Without the corresponding strength, removing the demonic mountain was just asking for torture. Therefore, when he failed to remove the demonic mountain, he chose to lay low. He had to endure hardships, accumulating strength, waiting for the moment when he had the strength to remove the demonic mountain. The Demon God clan is invading again. Obviously, they are coming for me. Back then, I said that I wanted the Demon God clan to welcome my return with a rain of blood. Since they are here, how can I let them down? Di Shitian's entire body was filled with spirit, energy, and spirit. It made him look extremely tall and mighty. He was like a supreme emperor, walking out of endless divine light. That's right. Kill. Those demon gods don't need to be merciful at all. The Source Continent and Demon God Continent have no possibility of reconciliation. The demon god's aggressiveness has been evident since the ancient times. Being suppressed by the five-finger demonic mountain, how can I get rid of the hatred in my heart if I don't kill millions of demon gods? Ming was eager to see the world in chaos. He shouted loudly. "Oomph." Di Shitian said coldly, "Don't worry. Heaven shrouding great emperor suppressed me under the demonic mountain. If I don't kill millions of his demon gods, how can I wash away the shame? Moreover, Shi-Er is still in the demon world. She's pregnant with my flesh and blood. If anything happens to her because of the demon gods, I will kill my way into the demon god continent, even if I have to risk my life." When he thought of Chun-Shi still outside, he couldn't suppress the urge to remove the demonic mountain. Since he couldn't suppress it, there was no need to. This fire had been suppressed for too long. Although it had only been a year outside, it had been more than 100 years in the Linglong Treasure Pagoda. It was close to 200 years. This fire had been brewing for too long. Swoosh! With a sway of his silhouette, he exited the Linglong Treasure Vault and kept it like a treasure. When he returned to the Myriad Demon City, he would have the Yellow Springs Tian Can and the others organize the records and place them into the Royal Heavenly Treasure Vault. Dong dong dong. In the fiendish demon battlefield, the Deep Abyss Battle Island floated in midair. A large number of demonic gods stood on the island. Those strange demonic drums beat densely. Each beat was like thunder, shaking the entire battlefield. Formless sound waves suppressed the small fiends of the fiend race, knocking them unconscious. The entire atmosphere was filled with an intense, murderous aura. The entire void had become incomparably heavy. Between heaven and earth, there was no other sound except for the sound of the drums. It was as if this was the most oppressive silence before the storm. Howl! The ghost chariot, which was shrouded in black fog, saw the tens of millions of small demons being knocked unconscious. Its eyes were filled with coldness. It suddenly spread its wings and flapped them fiercely. It soared into the sky and stretched its body. It was at least several thousand feet long. Its 9 heads danced in the air. Suddenly, it let out a shrill cry. This cry was extremely unpleasant to the ears. Moreover, it directly penetrated the soul. In an instant, it surged toward the demon gods like a tidal wave. A bunch of demon bastards. Watch this seat collect your souls. The ghost chariot's cold voice spread. To be continued. If you want to know what happened next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 606. The climax is here. Brothers, where are the monthly votes? Use them to help Shouty increase his cultivation base. Lift the Demon Mountain and deliver the first update. Today, we're going to hit 2 million words. Be sure to deliver the third update. Swish! Swish! After the ghost chariot shouted coldly, 18 beams of black light shot out from its 9 heads and 18 eyes. These beams of light were thin and tough like terrifying whips. They swept towards the demonic beasts on the battlefield. Immediately, they saw the demonic beasts on the battlefield. The 18 beams of light pierced straight into the bodies of the magical beasts. With a tug, the demonic souls of the demonic beasts were pulled out of their bodies. Throwing them into the air, he opened his mouth and swallowed them. Immediately, the demonic souls were swallowed as if they were food. Ghost Chariot's demonic energy surged and swelled to cover the sky. He charged toward the demon gods, leaving a black cloud in his wake. It directly devoured all the demonic souls of the demonic beasts within the range of the black cloud. Ghost Chariot's divine abilities were immeasurably harmful to the soul. They directly affected the soul. The more he ate, the more demonic energy he emitted. It was almost as if there were countless souls struggling and crying within the black cloud. Ghost Chariot is too impulsive. But Gord Luzi shook his head when he saw Ghost Chariot charging toward the demon gods. A cold, bloodthirsty expression appeared on his face, and he waved his hand. All soldiers heed my command. Either the demon gods die, or we demonkind die. Kill at all costs. Kill. Bam. Bam. Kill. 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 What's the big deal about those demon bastards? Even if we die, we'll take hundreds of them with us to avenge our fallen brothers. We're invincible. Kill. 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 We'll fight to the death with these demon gods. If they won't let us live, we'll bite off a chunk of flesh from them. If we don't show our might, they'll treat us like sick cats. Today, we'll show the demon gods that we demonkind aren't pushovers. Our ancestors were able to beat the demon gods back in the ancient times. Even if we're in decline, we won't tarnish our ancestors' reputation. Only death awaits. Kill. 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 The blood in the hearts of the demons was ignited in an instant. Their roars soared into the sky, and each of them had a determined look on their faces. When they saw the Abyss Chariot and the 8-armed demon gods appear on the demon god's side, all the demons clearly understood that this time, the demon god was going to wipe out the demon realm. There was no way out. They could only fight to the death. Our demon race has been passed down since ancient times. Our demon race shall reign supreme over the heavens. Our demon race once fought against the demon gods. My demon race has existed since ancient times. Even if my body dies, my demon soul will not be extinguished. There is no fear in the eyes of the demons. There is only a resolute determination to press forward and disregard life and death. Dong, dong, dong. On the island in the abyss, the battle drums sounded again. In a flash, the gigantic number of demonic beasts on the ancient battlefield seemed to have received some kind of message. They all released a monstrous amount of demonic chi. They roared and stomped on the ground, emitting whistling sounds as they dashed towards the group of wild beasts. On the ground, gigantic waves of demonic beasts blotted out the sky and covered the earth. There were demonic birds in the sky and demonic beasts on the ground. They covered almost the entire battlefield. As for the demon race, every one of them was an elite who had survived hundreds of battles. They held their own demonic weapons in their hands and released a fierce, murderous aura. They gathered in groups of 3 to 5 and looked after each other. They did not retreat and faced the demonic beasts head-on. Bang, bang, bang. When the demons and the demonic beasts collided, the blood light soared into the sky. Countless blood rain fluttered in the air. The murderous aura on the entire battlefield completely exploded, dyeing the entire sky red. The demonic beasts were brutal. They seemed to have fallen into a frenzy. Moreover, their physical bodies were strong. The fur on their bodies was extremely tough, and they had all kinds of terrifying abilities. When they fought, it was almost incomparably cruel. Moreover, there were many of them. Often, there would be dozens of them besieging a demon king and tearing the demon king into countless pieces. They would even devour the flesh and blood directly. However, the demon kings were in groups of 3 to 5 and had a tacit understanding. They waved the weapons in their hands and rushed into the demonic beasts. The demonic beasts were quickly strangled and killed. Moreover, there was no fanciful killing at all. It was a most simple killing method. Every slash was fatal. The demonic beasts were continuously killed. When the two sides collided, the entire battlefield was filled with a strong smell of blood. Even more intense fighting spirit was ignited. Blissful, Cs Sanyang, for so many years, only the three of us are left in the demon realm. We haven't had a chance to compete. Why don't we take advantage of this opportunity to compete? The calabash looked at the tragic battlefield coldly. He did not feel uncomfortable with the smell of blood in the air at all. Instead, he revealed a shocking, murderous aura. Hee. Since little calabash wants to compete, how can I, Sanyang, be a wet blanket? Sia Sanyang smiled charmingly. Her pair of peach blossom eyes rippled. All right then, let's compete with the demon gods in front of us. Let's see who can kill more and who can kill faster. Blissful child let out a strange cry. His childlike body swayed and appeared in midair. A snow-white lotus platform appeared under his feet. Countless snow-white rays of light bloomed on this lotus platform. These rays of light faintly had a sense of holiness, transcendence, and liberation. Blissful child formed a mysterious hand seal and softly said, "Blissful, blissful." Bathing in the divine light can lead to bliss and liberation. When a lotus blooms, the lotus is bliss. Boundless divine light bloomed on the lotus platform. Countless snow-white lotus flowers bloomed in the air. The lotus flowers were incomparably pure. They spun and snow-white petals floated down from the lotus flowers and fell in all directions. Each petal contained a sense of great joy that could lead one to liberation. It was as if bathing in the lotus flowers would lead one to paradise. Countless lotus flowers fell on the demonic beasts. Immediately, the demonic beasts all stopped and revealed expressions of great joy. Their demonic auras melted at an unbelievable speed. In the blink of an eye, tens of thousands of demonic beasts stopped breathing and fell to the ground in a state of joy. There was not a single trace of life left. Moreover, as the petals continued to fall, the number of demonic beasts kept increasing. Looks like I have no choice but to make a move. Seeing Blissful Child make a move, Sia Sanyang did not want to be left behind. Her figure flashed and appeared in the sky above the demonic beasts. A rainbow-colored pearl appeared in her hand. This pearl was spat out from her mouth. As soon as it appeared, it spun and turned into the size of a fist. It hung above Sia Sanyang's head and shot out rays of rainbow-colored light. Each ray was like a needle with unparalleled penetrative power. It instantly covered the surroundings. Roar, roar, roar. Countless demonic beasts were touched by the colorful lights. Their bodies turned pitch black in an instant, and they quickly festered, melted, and turned into wisps of black gas. They died on the spot. After the black gas appeared, they all gathered toward the seven-colored pearl like swallows returning to their nest, causing the color emitted by the pearl to become even more vibrant. Poison. What a potent poison. Hundreds of thousands of demonic beasts were poisoned to death in an instant. Tribulation, lotus platform. 1,000 tribulations, poison pearl. However, my blood gourd is not bad either. Seeing his two old companions kill millions of demonic beasts with a small show of their power, Gourd Luzi exuded an iron-blooded chi. With a flash of blood-red light, a blood-red gourd appeared in his hand. Clap, clap. He patted the gourd lightly, and a blood-red light flashed on it. Suddenly, there was a terrifying sound of something breaking through the air. Countless blood-red sword chi shot out from the gourd and swept toward the demonic beasts. Wherever it passed, the blood-red sword chi was extremely sharp. In an instant, the demonic beasts within a radius of 1,000 feet were minced into millions of pieces. Blood rained down. In the void, endless blood chi was swallowed by the blood-red gourd. In the gourd, it could be converted into blood chi. Its power was boundless. How dare you slaughter my demonic beasts? You deserve to die. You answer the demon clan. I, Bashan, will send you to the 9 underworlds. In the void, the abyss war chariot that had been entrenched in the abyss finally moved. A burly demon god shouted malevolently. He drove the chariot and charged out. Sky demon of the eight-armed demon god clan, Bafong. Boom, boom, boom. Another chariot charged out. Sky demon of the eight-armed demon god clan, Balin. Bashan, Bafong, and Balin. The three sky demon didn't hesitate. They roared and charged out of the demon god battle formation. They charged toward Blissful Boy, Xie, Sanyang, and the Gourd respectively. King against king, general against general. Demonic chi and demon chi collided violently in the void. The void shook as if it was about to be completely annihilated. What a terrifying demon god clan. He can drive the chariot and change the color of the sky. The void is about to be annihilated. That violent chi is boundless demonic chi. If you touch it, you'll be in danger of becoming a demon. The demon clan actually has such powerful sky demons. They can fight with the demon gods for countless years and still have so many left. As expected of the overlords of the ancient heavens, they've fallen to their current state, but they still have such a foundation. Moreover, they're all decisive. If they really leave the demon realm, the demon clan will definitely rise again. They'll have a chance to rise again. I'll wait for the demon clan and the demon clan to fight to the end before I come out to clean up the mess. Countless experts were hiding outside the demon realm. They were observing the situation inside the demon realm through the realm crystal barrier. When they saw the scene on the demon battlefield, they were all shocked. However, they were all waiting for both sides to suffer heavy losses before coming out to clean up the mess. Shrouding heaven the arch, you can't see a lie. Boom, boom. Just at this moment, a cold, domineering snort suddenly resounded from the center of the fiendish demon battlefield, at the foot of the colossal five-fingered demonic mountain. As the voice sounded, the entire demon mountain started to shake violently. Great demon divine ability, heavenly laws embodiment technique. Boom, boom. A shocking wave of demonic chi shot into the sky from the Five Fingers Demon Mountain like a divine pillar. Billowing demonic chi surged into the clouds like smoke signals. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support legal reading. Chapter 607. The second update has been delivered. Please vote. Continue with the third chapter. I once said, today I will be suppressed by the Five Fingers Demon Mountain. When I break free in the future, I will wash the sky with the blood of the sky demon. I will pave the way with the flesh and blood of the demon god. I will use the flesh and blood of the demon god to build a monument. When I break the mountain, I will use the rain of blood as a sacrifice. The demons will weep. Dishurtian's voice reverberated slowly in the void, revealing a chilling charm. This was the vow he made when he was suppressed under the Five Fingers Demon Mountain. Heavenly law embodiment technique, rise, rise, rise. Rumble. The Five-Finger Demonic Mountain, which had already fused with the earth, suddenly shook violently at this moment. Countless terrifying cracks suddenly appeared on the ground at the edge of the demonic mountain. The ground and the surroundings began to collapse inch by inch. An immeasurable force forcefully separated the demonic mountain from the earth. Bang! The huge demon mountain, which was thousands of feet tall, was lifted up in an instant. On the demon mountain, endless demon chi gushed out crazily, transforming into countless terrifying demon dragons that danced wildly in the void, suppressing the demon mountain, trying to push it down. The surrounding void was annihilated inch by inch, erupting with destructive power. Countless earth, fire, water, and wind forces gushed out. Boom, boom, boom. The demon mountain was pushed up from the ground again and again. Every time it rose, the surrounding space would tremble horribly. When the devil mountain was pushed up by 100 feet, the figure filled with supreme might beneath the devil mountain suddenly appeared in this world. Dishurtian's eyes shone with divine light, his black hair dancing wildly, the emperor of the hell's robe on his body. Countless ferocious ghosts were crying. His feet stepped on the ground, and from the ground, a mighty force poured into his body continuously. He raised his left hand high and supported the demon mountain with his other hand, forcibly pushing the 5 fingers demon mountain up. The 3,000 feet tall, demonic body exuded a violent power. The muscles all over his body surged wildly like dragons, and the void outside his body faintly resounded with the roars of tigers and dragons. That tyrannical aura of power swept through the heavens and earth. With a roar, thousands of lightning bolts accompanied it. The aura of an emperor that seemed to reign supreme on his body unreservedly rushed out from the pores all over his body, making him look incomparably tall and mighty. Rise, rise, rise. Di-Shirtian was like a peerless demon god. His aura was boundless as he roared. His body expanded rapidly, growing taller and taller. 300 zhang, 400 zhang, 500 zhang. His domineering aura intimidated all living beings. Grand Emperor Shroud Heaven had used a special technique to connect the 5-fingered Devil Mountain to the entire demon world. Therefore, to tear it apart was to fight the entire demon world. Even though it was only 300 meters, the pressure it had to endure was almost immeasurable. If it were anyone else, even their bones would have been crushed under the pressure of the Devil Mountain. The terrifying pressure caused every inch of the Sakra's flesh and blood to vibrate violently. It produced a vast and mighty force that blocked the attack. Large amounts of sweat poured down his body like a fountain. It's Shirtian. When the demon mountain started to move, the entire fiendish demon battlefield fell into a strange silence. Countless pairs of eyes looked in the direction of the demon mountain at the same time. This was especially so for Qinshi. The moment she saw it, she could not hide the excitement in her eyes. She could not help exclaiming in surprise. He was surrounded by the protection of the 4 god beasts. It's the demon emperor. Could it be that he's planning to tear apart the 5-fingered Devil Mountain? Heavens! The Devil Mountain is connected to the entire demon world. He's fighting the entire demon world. How is that possible? Could it be that he's already become a heaven demon and has an undying body, an indestructible body? Dharma manifestations of heaven and earth? That's a divine ability that only greater demons can use. When used, they can expand their body to an inconceivable level. They have boundless power. Tearing apart the Devil Mountain, it's connected to the demon world. If it's torn apart, wouldn't the entire demon world be destroyed? No, wait. The Devil Mountain is only supported by the energy of heaven and earth from the demon world. It's not the foundation of the demon world. Tearing it apart might cause some damage to the demon world, but it won't be completely destroyed. Back then, the demon emperor was able to kill the demon emperor. If he can really tear apart the Devil Mountain, wouldn't he be able to rival the sky demon? When the heavens are better, we will have one more expert. When the demons saw the scene below the Devil Mountain, they discussed animatedly. Their eyes shone with excitement. The image of Di-Shirtian suppressing the demon emperor was still vivid in their minds. They were excited. How could they not be filled with anticipation? There's actually a ferocious demon suppressed below the Devil Mountain. Where have I seen this ferocious demon before? What a ferocious aura. Even I feel an intense sense of danger from this aura. He's not dead even after being suppressed under the Devil Mountain, and he seems to be tearing it apart. TSK. Looks like there's going to be a good show. A heaven demon? That's the ferocious demon that appeared in the God's Fall abyss. An unparalleled heaven demon that dared to fight against the eternal kingdom and then left calmly. There's no mistake. He plundered countless treasures in the Scarlet Tide back then. I wonder how much wealth he has. Outside the realm, pairs of eyes hidden in the dark revealed a look of horror as they recognized Di-Shirtian's identity. They were all too familiar with that ferocious and domineering aura. What they saw in the abyss back then was something they would never forget for the rest of their lives. Most of the benefits had been plundered by Di-Shirtian. What they got was just a bit of soup. Thinking of the huge wealth Di-Shirtian had, those eyes revealed traces of greed. Wealth moved people's hearts. In the face of a treasure mountain, no one could control themselves. The noise Di made was so loud that almost the entire battlefield stopped. Even the demon gods looked over. Many of the 8-armed demon gods had a hint of mockery in their eyes. Could the seal of the great emperor of shrouding heaven be broken so easily? The demon gods were almost watching a monkey show. Roar! Di roared, and the divine light on his body shook. He looked around and saw the mockery on the demon gods' faces. He said coldly, "When I break free, millions of demon gods will sacrifice their blood. Ultimate Emperor Mask, Dharma embodiment of heaven and earth, rise." The roar distorted the void. The ultimate Emperor Mask that could only cover half of his face appeared on his face. Suddenly, a vast amount of power emerged from his body. The ultimate Emperor Mask could increase one's cultivation by 1 level. His 7th cycle Yao core cultivation base naturally rose to the 8th cycle the moment he put on the mask. That boundless, true power quickly rushed into every inch of his flesh. Bang, bang, bang. Di body expanded violently, and a golden light flowed around his body, making him look like an ancient emperor. He was incomparably tall, 1,000 feet, 2,000 feet. Di, who was using the Dharma embodiment of heaven and earth, expanded violently in an unstoppable manner. Originally, his original body was already 3,000 feet tall, but when he revealed his original body, 3,000 feet was far from his limit. He was still expanding violently. The Dharma embodiment of heaven and earth was a mystique that all demons who had reached the great demon realm could comprehend. It could absorb the power of heaven and earth and explode with power that was hundreds of times stronger. Especially when Di had the earth's spiritual pearl. When he stepped on the ground, the earth would naturally surge with boundless power and pour into his body, making it inexhaustible. When he stepped on the ground, his strength was boundless. He was borrowing the power of the earth to resist the heavy pressure of the demon realm. Boom, boom, boom. Every time he expanded, the void outside his body would shatter into pieces. The violent force could turn heaven and earth into chaos, and its power was boundless. Borrowing the power of the earth, Di aura was almost unstoppable. With one hand supporting the demon mountain, he directly supported himself with an indomitable posture. 10,000 feet. A 10,000 feet tall giant stood between heaven and earth, stepping on the ground and carrying the demon mountain. The air he breathed out turned into a violent wind, and his eyes were like the sun and moon, piercing through the sky. The vast demonic aura shook the surroundings. Destruction, great destruction. The vast power of the demon realm suddenly surged into the demon mountain, and the demon mountain burst out with boundless dark demonic light. When Di grew bigger, the demon mountain also grew bigger. Now it was hundreds of thousands of feet tall, and countless demonic runes appeared on it. Suddenly, a murmur that seemed to come from the underworld came from the demon mountain. Countless demonic aura condensed, and on the demon mountain, an incomparably huge and terrifying demon god stood proudly. In his hand, he held an illusory ancient spear. Great destruction! The demon god coldly spat out a sentence, and his voice was filled with the aura of destruction and death. He didn't care about anything else, and directly waved his spear, blasting it towards the demon mountain below him. The spear didn't collide with the demon mountain at all, and naturally passed through it, piercing straight towards Di. If this spear pierced through, it would directly pierce through his head, turning him into a bloody gourd. The power of great destruction contained in the spear was completely restrained, but it had unparalleled destructive power. "I've been waiting for you." Di raised his head, and his eyes flashed with madness. He roared into the sky, and with his left hand supporting the demon mountain, he took a step forward. 8 desolation steps. First step, second step, third step. Holding the demon mountain, Indra brazenly took 5 steps. With every step he took, the power in his body would violently expand at an inconceivable speed. This power was incomparably berserk, crazily tearing his entire body apart. If he couldn't withstand it, his entire demonic body would explode on the spot. Demon Core, 9 transformations. Demon Sage, Peak Demon Sage. In the blink of an eye, D. Shurtian's power broke through to the peak of Demon Sage. The violent power caused endless pain in his body, as if he had obtained power that didn't belong to him. But with it came endless danger, and if he wasn't careful, he would be injured by that power. Heaven Primary Pills. Power. Let I go completely berserk. D. Shurtian roared, and a huge amount of Heaven Primary Pills flew out of his body. There were a total of 1,000,000 pills, which he directly swallowed into his stomach. Immediately, an enormous amount of pre-heaven vital energy filled his body, causing it to burn with power. I, D. Shurtian, have never been suppressed by anyone since I was born. I cultivate the Tao of Emperors, and I won't be humiliated lightly. If anyone hurts me, I'll pay them back 100-fold. Great Emperor shrouding heaven, I might not be a match for you today, but in the future, I'll suppress you for 50,000 years. Today, I'll break your 5-finger Devil Mountain. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chijian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 608. The power released by the 1,000,000 heaven elemental elixirs pushed the power in D. Shurtian's body up again, and he entered the heavenly demon realm. Moreover, the pure, innate vitality soothed the violent power brought about by the 8 desolation steps. It became much gentler and was not as violent as before. The pressure on the demon body suddenly decreased by a lot. Ancient heavenly demon. His black hair danced wildly. Every strand of his hair contained an extremely domineering power. As they streaked across the void, they whipped the space until it was distorted. An explosive power surged in his body. Emperor's Way of the Emperor, Devourer of Tao Tai. D. Shurtian looked coldly at the great demon god of destruction's spear that was charging towards him. His right hand, which was free, suddenly landed on the tiger soul saber on his back. With a twist of his wrist, the tiger soul was unsheathed and he swung the saber above his head. Roar. The innate technique within the tiger soul devoured tens of thousands of yuan qi. Instantly, a 5,000-foot-tall Tao Tai appeared above Sakura's head. This Tao Tai was even more powerful compared to before. Its body was no longer illusory, it was corporeal. Opening its mouth, it transformed into a black hole that devoured everything in its path. It devoured the vitality of the universe. When it collided with the great demon god of destruction, the spear went right into the Tao Tai's mouth. There was nothing that the Tao Tai could not devour. As long as it was not too much stronger than it, it could devour everything that was weaker than it. Vitality was no exception. Although the great demon god of destruction was destructive, it could still devour everything. However, its destructive power was too terrifying. The Tao Tai trembled violently. Boom, boom, boom. Bang. With a terrifying sound, the Tao Tai's body collapsed on the spot. The power of the great demon god of destruction was devoured by the Tao Tai and was easily blocked by D. Shurtian's saber. Roar. The great demon god of destruction felt it, and its expression became irritable. With a roar, it pulled out the spear and was about to attack D. Shurtian again. However, D. Shurtian was not someone who was willing to take a beating. With a thought, the boundless and incomparably vast royal extreme true power in his body crazily surged in his left arm that was supporting the demon mountain. Boom! One could clearly see that his left arm was glowing with a golden divine light. Moreover, his entire arm had expanded by more than 3 times in an instant. Violent energy spread out, shattering the surrounding space. I'll tear you apart. Stomping on the ground, Lin Fan's strength was boundless. All of a sudden, all the energy in his body burst forth and slammed into the demon mountain. Rumble. On the spot, The entire five-fingered devil mountain was shaken by a violent force and shot up into the sky like a cannonball. The devil mountain was connected to the demon realm, and in almost an instant, countless lands in the demon realm collapsed and large amounts of lava spewed out of the ground. It was unknown how many mountains had collapsed. It turned into countless fragments. The demon realm is full of terrible disasters. These were all terrifying scenes produced by the Fiend Mountain. From this, it could be seen how terrifying D. Shurtian's all-out attack was. It truly had the supreme power to destroy heaven and earth. How dare you? You damned demon! You destroyed the great emperor's flesh and blood, and now you want to break the seal? You're courting death. Today, I'll seal you in place of the great emperor. Die for me. Indra Ashur Tion's action caused the expressions of many devil gods to change. Provocation. This was definitely a blatant provocation. If he succeeded in breaking the seal of great emperor shrouding heaven, even the great emperor would lose face. How could they allow such a thing to happen in front of them? Boom, boom, boom. In an instant, the four abyssal chariots started moving in the air. Each chariot was pulled by 9 heaven's demonic dragons as they sped through the air. Each of them wielded terrifying devil weapons in their hands as they lunged towards Indra. Indra's body erupted with boundless might, causing the expressions of these devil gods to change greatly. Extreme Emperor's way. Fiend God mourning. Sakra didn't care about the devil god that was rushing towards him. His eyes were fixedly staring at the five-fingered devil mountain that was rapidly pressing down. If he didn't split the devil mountain apart, even if he raised the peak of the mountain, the surroundings would still be like a terrifying cage that he couldn't escape from. Since he couldn't get out, he would split the mountain apart. Endless divine light shot out from the tiger's soul, and 3,000 demon gods appeared in the void. They devoured the boundless Yuan Qi and burst out with astonishing power. Each of them had the strength of a heavenly demon. The demon gods danced wildly, and the entire space was about to be torn apart. However, the 3,000 demon gods didn't stop and quickly entered the tiger's soul. Suddenly, an ancient aura appeared on the surface of the tiger's soul. There was no divine light, but there were 3,000 gods and demons on the blade. They were vivid and lifelike. Furthermore, although the power contained in the blade had become restrained, it was even more powerful and destructive. It had returned to its original state, and its edge was even sharper. D. Shurtian's body was 10,000 feet tall, and the tiger's soul in his hand was even bigger than his body. It was 13,000 feet tall. Heaven and earth splitter, five-fingered devil mountain, break open for I. D. Shurtian stared coldly at the five-fingered devil mountain that was falling from the void. His eyes contained a crazy intent of destruction. The power in the tiger's soul was comparable to that of a supreme demon god. Its grade had also evolved to that of an earth-ranked demon weapon. It had the supreme power to destroy the heavens and extinguish the earth. During the days in the everlasting mirage, the things he learned were useful for life. His control of his own power had reached a pinnacle. The power in the saber was not revealed, and it directly slashed at the demon mountain without any fancy moves. Crack! The blade was like Pangu, splitting the heavens and splitting the earth. It was simple and unadorned, but contained boundless sharpness. Everywhere it passed, heaven and earth were split open. A terrifying rift was cut into the demon realm. Furthermore, the rift was unable to heal on its own, and countless violent spatial fragments surged out from within. Although it seemed simple and unadorned, the aura emanating from the tiger's soul was shocking. This caused the pupils of countless people who were spying in the dark to shrink violently, returning to its original state. Simple and unadorned, but with boundless sharpness. That saber strike was close to the Tao. How could a heavenly Yao be capable of something like that? This already has the power of a demon god. Terrifying, as expected of the fierce demon who dared to fight with the 10 great immortal sects for treasures. He has become even more terrifying. If I were the one in front of this blade, would I be able to block it? I can't block it. I can't block it at all. Even my inner world will be split into two. This is really the power of a heavenly demon. My goodness, the demon race was the overlord of the ancient times. There were countless peerless geniuses. Now that we are about to enter the next great era, such a terrifying existence has emerged. Could it be that the demon race really doesn't want to die and is about to rise? No, even if there are signs of a rise, the 10 great immortal sects probably won't allow it. Perhaps the Tao Ancestor won't throw away his face and attack them. But the human race has been accumulating for countless years and has produced many powerhouses. There is also a battlefield of immortals and demons in the celestial realm. A group of peerless powerhouses have been honed. It won't be easy for the demon race to rise. They don't even have a foundation to stand on. Shurtian's power had indeed caused some of the powerhouses who were watching the battle to be secretly shocked. However, they were not optimistic about the demon race's future. Kacha, the huge tiger's soul, slashed the demonic mountain. The moment it came into contact with the demonic mountain, a resplendent sharpness burst out from the blade. On the blade, 3,000 god fiends roared as boundless power poured into the blade. Under the tiger's soul's sharpness, the incomparably sturdy demonic mountain, which was comparable to an ancient demon god's unparalleled power, was sliced into by the tiger's soul. However, when the tiger's soul entered the demonic mountain, a strong resistance was transmitted from the blade to Shurtian's body. 8 desolation step, 6 step, bang. Shurtian took another step forward. The power in his body became even more violent as it poured into the tiger's soul. It caused the tiger's soul's blade to vibrate continuously, shattering everything that stood in its way. Kacha! A crisp sound rang between heaven and earth. The tiger's soul slashed across the demonic mountain. The huge demonic mountain was split in half by the blade. In an instant, the cage that was restraining him was shattered. Sakura felt that the pressure outside his body had suddenly disappeared without a trace. Destruction. Great destruction. The demonic mountain was split in half, but the great destruction demon god guarding it wasn't destroyed. Instead, it opened its demonic mouth and swallowed the split demonic mountain. Instantly, the demonic mountain collapsed, turning into the purest great destruction demonic chi that poured into the demon god's body. The demon god stood in the void. As it swallowed more demonic chi, its originally illusory body became clearer and clearer. It was almost as if it had a physical body. The pressure coming from its body grew more and more terrifying. Faint ripples were spreading out, pushing towards the demonic god emperor. Killing move. This was the real killing move. The heaven-shrouding great emperor had not only left behind a seal, but also a terrifying clone. Damn it, you actually broke the great emperor's seal. The 4 heavenly demons could hardly believe what was happening before their eyes. However, they immediately roared. A pitch-black demonic blade appeared in one of the heavenly demons' hands. On the demonic blade, there were specks of stars that strangely appeared. Starry Sky Demon Blade, cut the dome of heaven. The demonic blade contained the power of the stars and could cut through the void. Countless streams of demonic chi swirled around the blade, causing heaven and earth to change color. It was as if a myriad of stars were attacking at the same time. Die! Witnessing this scene, Sakura's eyes flashed with a hint of madness. More than half of the boundless might within his body had been depleted by that saber strike. Ultimately, that massive amount of power could only be used for a short period of time. Once it was depleted, there was no way to replenish it. If it was in the past, perhaps he would have been beaten back to his original form, falling back to the greater demon realm. But after cultivating in the boundless illusion realm, he had completely grasped the true meaning of battle. He had discarded all unnecessary energy. As of this moment, the tiger's soul still contained the power of 1,000 god devils. Without any hesitation, the blade slashed toward the sky demon in a strange trajectory. I offer the blood of the demonic god as a sacrifice to my return. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 609. Monthly Votes. Those with monthly votes, please raise them. Monthly votes urgently needed. Clang. The tiger soul contained the might of the divine demon. Although there was only 1,000 divine demon powers left in the blade, it still allowed Di Shirtian's blade to reach the pinnacle of heaven's will. It collided with the starry sky demon blade. At the moment of collision, Di Shirtian's lips curled into a cold smile. The imperial true force in his body was injected into the blade. The entire tiger soul suddenly vibrated violently. With each vibration, it vibrated tens of thousands of times, releasing the power in the blade in a domineering manner. The space around the blade was rapidly distorted at a speed visible to the naked eye, and it instantly collapsed. It was annihilated inch by inch. The sky demon blade, which was filled with the power of the stars, was reflected to one side. After tens of thousands of vibrations, the power released by the sky demon blade was instantly annihilated. To one side, the vast divine demon powers brought about by the divine demon death, coupled with the high-frequency vibration technique, tilted the battle in an instant. No, how is this possible? Sky demon shield, block for this demonic god. The 8-armed demonic god could not believe that his accumulated power was instantly destroyed. Not only did it not injure the enemy, but the terrifying vibrations from the tiger's soul traveled along the starry sky demon blade to his arm. His entire arm vibrated along with the starry sky demon blade, and terrifying cracks appeared on his incomparably tough demonic bones. His demonic god body was damaged in just one exchange. This was an outcome that he could not accept. However, when he saw the tiger soul slashing towards him, he instinctively raised the sky demon shield in one of his demonic arms. It instantly enlarged and blocked in front of him, protecting his entire body. There were no blind spots left. Whoosh! The sky demon shield was a hexagonal pitch-black shield. On the surface of a shield, there was a ferocious image of a demon god. It carried an evil and ruthless aura, and it glowed with a crystal-like light. It had a strong defensive power. However, Di Shirtian's tiger soul continued to slash forward. At the same time, the purple mark between his eyebrows flashed with a purple light. Then, tiger soul turned around and slashed at him from a strange angle. Crack! The moment tiger soul collided with sky demon's shield, tiger soul's blade shone with an endless amount of sharpness. It was as if it was not blocked by the shield at all. It easily sliced through the shield from top to bottom, as if it was tofu, in a bizarre manner. At the same time, Tiger Soul's blade cut diagonally into the 8-armed sky demon's body from his shoulder. Pucci! The blood-red light bloomed like the first ray of sunlight at dawn. Impossible! How can you break through this demon god sky demon shield? This demon god has an undying body. You can't kill me. That demon god roared in horror. He was filled with endless fear and doubt that Di Shirtian could cut through the shield so easily. Even an expert of the same level would not be able to cut through the shield so easily. Tiger Soul cut the demon god's body into 2 halves. At the same time, Di Shirtian looked at him coldly and said, "An undying body. I wonder if you can still survive after I devour your demon blood and absorb your demon soul." Roar! A tyrannical tiger's roar came from Tiger Soul. The green pearl embedded between the blade and the hilt glowed with a resplendent divine light and emitted an irresistible devouring power. The demon blood in the demon god's body was drawn in and was forcibly extracted at an unimaginable speed. It turned into a blood dragon and surged into Tiger Soul. Tiger Soul was like a bottomless pit, crazily devouring the demon blood. The green pearl glowed with a demonic light. Heaven's punishment divine eye, soul absorption. Di Shirtian roared and opened the heaven's punishment divine eye between his brows. Boundless majesty flowed out from the divine eye. A beam of soul absorption divine light shot out from the divine eye and instantly fixed on the demon god's demon soul that was cut in two. With the supreme power of a heaven demon, the demon god's demon soul that was exposed to the soul absorption divine light could not resist at all. It was suppressed under the divine light and was forcibly pulled into the divine eye by an extremely strong force. What kind of divine power is this? My demon blood, my demon soul. No, the demon god that was enveloped by the divine light let out a terrified roar. He was not afraid of having his demonic blood extracted. After attaining the immortal body, as long as a single cell existed, it would be able to absorb the chi of heaven and earth and reconstruct its body. Unless the demonic body was completely annihilated and refined, it would not be easy to kill a heavenly demon or heavenly demon who had attained the immortal body. However, the demon soul was different. The demon soul controlled the body. Once the demon soul was destroyed, even if he had an immortal body, he would still die and lose his consciousness. What was the use of having an immortal body? It was just an empty shell. After all, the demon soul had not reached the immortal realm. It would encounter danger and die. When one reached the level of an ancient giant, most experts would transform according to the direction of their cultivation. Those who focused on cultivating the primordial spirit would obtain the immortal primordial spirit. Those who focused on the physical body would obtain the immortal primordial spirit. When one reached the level of both at the same time, one would be an unparalleled expert. Indra was terrifyingly calm. In the everlasting illusory realm, he had undergone a transformation that could be said to be useful for his entire life. The shadow had taught him true combat techniques, and under the guidance of Dark, he had already clearly understood the weaknesses of the ancient giants. With the ability of the heavenly punishment divine eye, he saw the weakness of the sky demon's shield and broke it instantly with the tiger soul. Then, he used the tiger soul to extract the demon blood and the heavenly punishment divine eye to extract the demon soul. All of this flashed through his mind like a flash of lightning, and a fatal situation appeared in his mind. The demon soul. The sky demon's demon soul is really powerful. Good. Huang Quan's holy river. Quickly suppress the demon soul. When Ming saw the demon soul in the nether prison, he could not help but laugh excitedly. With a wave of his dragon claw, he directly threw the demon soul, who had been bewitched by the soul-absorbing divine light, into the 19th layer of the nether prison, the endless abyss, which was also the infernal prison. At the same time, the Huang Quan's holy river, which ran through the nether prison, rolled over and appeared in the infernal prison. It swept the demon soul into the holy river and suppressed it at the bottom of the Huang Quan's holy river. For the time being, he could not do anything to the demon's soul. In the future, when he was strong enough, he could slowly interrogate it and get a lot of information. It's a pity that there is no supreme treasure in the nether prison that can suppress the divine souls of all heavens. Devour. The nether prison has devoured a large amount of divine soul power and is on the verge of a transformation. Maybe this time, a divine object that is not inferior to the Huang Quan's holy river will be born in the nether prison. Ming rubbed his dragon claws and murmured expectantly. The nether prison was good in everything, but when it came to suppressing the divine souls of experts who were far more powerful than Di Shirtian, it was often too strenuous. Moreover, it could not suppress too many of them. If it exceeded the limit that the nether prison could bear, the nether prison might be destroyed. You deserve to die. You ants of the demon clan dared to break the seal and kill our experts. You deserve to die. Di Shirtian killed the sky demon in the blink of an eye. It was faster than lightning, so fast that the other 3 demon gods did not have time to rescue him. Most importantly, they did not expect that one of their sky demon experts would be killed in an instant. The 3 heavenly demons were completely enraged by the raging flames of fury. In their hands, they each held a terrifying star-sky demon blade and violently slashed at Di Shirtian. As for Di Shirtian, when he broke the demon mountain and killed the sky demon, The tyrannical power that did not belong to him was suddenly exhausted. His strength fell to the seventh revolution of the monster core. However, with the magical power of the ultimate Emperor Mask, he still had the cultivation of the eighth revolution of the monster core. In other places, the eighth revolution of the monster core would be an unimaginable expert. Compared to the situation on the Source mainland, there were probably only a handful of demon clans who could match him. However, in front of the eight-armed demon god of the sky demon level, he was incomparably small, just like an ant. D. Shirtion saw the three demon blades slashing at him. Although the power in his body was exhausted, he did not panic at all. In battle, he could not lose his cool. Even in a dangerous situation, as long as he could remain calm, he could create a ray of hope for survival. Losing one's cool meant death. I can even break the seal of the shrouding heaven great emperor. The sky demon can forget about killing me. D. Shirtion suddenly held the tiger soul horizontally in front of him, showing a strange trajectory. Bang, bang, bang. With this raise of his hand, he blocked the three demon blades. The hilt, the body, and the tip. He blocked the three demon blades. It was extremely clever. This eyesight was close to the Tao. However, no matter how exquisite the battle technique was, if it was not supported by power, it would be illusory. From the Star Sky Demon Blade, a violent and terrifying demon aura was released, bombarding D. Shirtion's body. It flowed through the blade and directly into his body. The pure royal true force in his body frantically blocked the demon aura's corrosion. But under that berserk destructive power, in front of that overwhelming power, the Emperor's true power was constantly being battered and dispersed. The demon aura rushed into his body and wantonly destroyed it. It actually wanted to merge into his flesh and blood, demonizing it and pulling D. Shirtion into the demon Tao. It was constantly corroding his flesh and blood. Pooh! It was as if Sakura was struck by lightning. His entire body trembled violently as mouthfuls of golden blood spurted out from his mouth. A bloody mist filled the air. His entire demonic body was like a cannonball that was shot out of the barrel, flying backwards. Along the way, he smashed into a mountain, causing it to collapse. He suffered a severe injury. Little great demon, you only used a secret technique to obtain a powerful strength that did not belong to you. You're just like an ant. How dare you kill my brothers? Today, I will pull out your demon soul and detain you on the gloomy wind cliff. You will suffer the pain of the gloomy wind corrosion for the rest of your life. A heavenly demon, seeing that Sakura was unable to withstand a single blow, revealed a ferocious expression at the corner of his mouth. As soon as he urged the abyss chariot under him, he directly rushed to the place where Sakura fell. The chariot was driven, as domineering as thunder. Rumble. However, just as the sky demon rushed to the place where D. Shirtion fell, an earth-shattering and terrifying aura suddenly erupted. Hundreds of millions of snow-white crystal lights bloomed in an instant. A vast pressure suddenly appeared and covered the entire demon realm in an instant. It was as if a supreme god had suddenly awakened. To be continued. If you want to know what happens next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. I support the author, and I support the original readers. Chapter 610. It's almost the end of the month. Those with monthly tickets, push up. Bang! The Sky Demon did not expect such an unforeseen event. He directly crashed into the crystal light in the sky. Suddenly, as if he had hit the hardest steel, a violent sound erupted. At the same time, the 9 demonic dragons pulling the abyss chariot exploded on the spot, turning into countless pieces of flesh and blood that instantly scattered. They were thrown into the sky. A terrifying rain of blood fell from the sky. The powerful abyss chariot was instantly shattered into thousands of pieces and shot out in all directions. The abyss chariot was a demonic treasure comparable to an acquired spiritual treasure. Every war chariot could summon massive demons to follow beside it. They could traverse the void and turn the void into an abyss that could devour infinite yuan qi. All this time, only the fiend celestials who had reached the sky fiend realm could possess such a mount. Such a mount naturally represented the majesty of the heavenly demon. There was no need to doubt its strength. However, such an abyss chariot actually collapsed on the spot, turning into countless pieces. It was simply unimaginable. Even the sky demon was not spared. The demon god's body, which was thousands of feet tall, collapsed on the spot, crushed into a strange mass of flesh and blood that splashed out in all directions. However, the flesh and blood, as if it had a life of its own, kept converging toward the center. It gathered together and quickly wriggled, constantly condensing into a shape. It actually wanted to use the power of the immortal body to reform a demon body. How is this possible? The sky demon of the 8-armed demon god clan was actually so fragile that his physical body was shattered. Even the abyss chariot collapsed, and the 9 demonic dragons were completely annihilated. So terrifying, such a terrifying aura. What is this? What is that thing? I can feel that there is an extremely terrifying thing in the crystal light that can easily crush us and kill us. This aura made my heart tremble. What kind of terrifying existence is it? It's him again, that sky demon again. What is he? Why does he have so many tricks up his sleeve? In the God's Fall Abyss, he took out an ancient bridge and was able to block the experts of the various heavens. Now, anything that touches him will change. It can't be that ancient bridge again, right? No, the aura of the ancient bridge is not like this. Change. There really is a change. The demon clan is truly a group of unbelievable fellows. It's the demonic beast emperor. Ha, I knew it. How could the demonic beast emperor fall so easily? To be able to kill even the sky demon, he must be under the protection of the ancestors of the demon clan. He must be an emperor who has descended to our demon clan. He must be an emperor who can lead our demon clan to rise again. The sudden change caused an uproar in the world. Looking at the crystal light in the sky, everyone could clearly feel the terrifying pressure coming from the air. Even those that hadn't entered the demon realm could feel this pressure. It was so terrifying that they didn't even dare to breathe loudly. It's His Majesty's demon city. Could it be that the construction of the demon city had already been completed? In the ancient city above the 9 heavens. Ha! This is the time when our myriad demon city's name shakes the heavens and earth and suppresses the myriad worlds. With the unparalleled might of the myriad demon city, even a mere demon god would be suppressed to death. The 4 divine beasts formed by the battle formation roared excitedly at the sky. Their roars were filled with excitement. When they thought of the ancient city that had been built for hundreds of years in the Linglong Treasure Pagoda, they were completely excited. Their confidence in the demon city had been deeply engraved in their hearts since the first day of its construction. Chun-Shi sat on the throne and looked at the crystal light in the sky. His eyes revealed a look of joy, and he murmured, "Is the demon city finally completed?" It seems that the year that Shi Tian was suppressed under the demon mountain was not in vain. He's been doing his best to build this ancient city. We finally have a foundation. We have a home. In the demon valley, in the hearts of the group of demons that came out of the southern wilderness, almost all of them had the same thought. Their originally empty hearts suddenly had a sustenance. That was a kind of sustenance of a home. Their whole bodies were suddenly filled with strength. This was the difference between having a root and having no root. It was an invisible reversal. "Sheer, what is that?" Gord Luzi arrived beside Chun-Shi in a flash before asking her a question in a deep voice. However, he didn't even blink as he stared intently at that strange location. He had seen the scene just now with his own eyes. His impression of Shi Tian had changed completely, and the scene in front of him was obviously related to him. The one who was most familiar with Shi Tian was undoubtedly Chun-Shi, who was known as the Demon Empress. That is, the Demon City. Chun-Shi's face bloomed with a smile for the first time in a long time. This smile seemed to completely release all of his worries, and even the color of the whole world seemed to become brighter in an instant. A smile could move the world. Demon City? Huluzi's eyes showed a look of surprise. Rumble. At this time, there was another change in the void. The thousands of crystal lights suddenly retracted to the center, and the moment they retracted, the world collapsed. A colossal figure suddenly appeared in the void. In the void, countless auspicious clouds appeared out of nowhere. The snow-white auspicious clouds were like a tide, and in the blink of an eye, they spread out in all directions and covered the endless void. It stretched for millions of feet. Amidst the clouds, a huge ancient city stood above the clouds. The ancient city was made of perfect crystals, but it did not emit any light. Instead, it gave off an ancient and vast aura. It was like an ancient city that had returned from ancient times. There were no walls, but the 4 heavenly gates were faintly visible in the clouds, and they gave off a mysterious aura. Looking at the heavenly gates, one would feel that as long as one entered, they would be able to surpass the heavens. When the ancient city appears, there will be a blood rain as a sacrifice. The demon god here is the sacrifice. Tion stood in the middle of the ancient city. His body was huge, and he still looked like a giant standing in the middle of the city and controlling it. He was like a supreme emperor who ruled over the heavens. Boom! The Thousand Fiends City was an ancient divine city that stood above the heavens. All the materials were not of the 5 elements. The divine crystals were extremely tough, and they were fused with their natural enemy, the embryonic membrane. They were protected by the supreme divine restriction, and the 4 heavenly gates guarded it. The vast divine might poured down, and the air in the entire fiendish demon battlefield suddenly froze. After Tion said coldly, the ancient city suddenly changed. The ancient city immediately pressed down on the demon god, who was wriggling violently, trying to reform its body. This move was like the heavens were falling and the earth was cracking. The void around the ancient city collapsed on the spot, and the void was destroyed. It pressed down on the huge mass of flesh. Bang! A terrifying boom rang out. The mass of flesh was pressed down on the spot. In an instant, it was crushed into powder by the ancient city's vast and mighty force. Amidst a shrill scream, it was completely crushed into powder. Even the demon god soul was destroyed on the spot. Under the ancient city's mighty force that could shatter the heavens and the earth, it was simply unstoppable. Boom! A mighty divine light radiated from the ancient city, and the surroundings of the ancient city were completely annihilated in an instant. Tyrannical earth, fire, water, and wind surged out, and countless terrifying destructive storms roared out from the shattered void. Lightning, fire, and storms instantly dyed the world into a doomsday scene. They roared and surged toward the ancient city, as if they wanted to completely destroy the culprit who had shattered the void. However, under this violent storm of destruction, the Thousand Demon City seemed to have existed for eternity. Any power that came before the ancient city would immediately emit an ancient and immortal aura. Waves of crystal light appeared, and no matter what kind of power bombarded the ancient city, it would not leave the slightest mark. It couldn't even shake the ancient city in the slightest. Humph! I might not be able to match Great Emperor shrouding heaven, but I'm not afraid of you. So what if you're the Sky Demon? I've already built the Thousand Fiends City, and it has boundless power. Watch as I completely crush you. Tion's eyes flickered as he scanned the area, and his gaze fell on the 3 Sky Demon. Retreat. Quickly return to the Abyss Battle Island. With the power of the Abyss Battle Island, we can contend with this ancient city. Damn it. How could that freak have such a powerful ancient city? Quick, let's go back to the Battle Island and use it to smash this ancient city. I don't believe this bullshit ancient city can contend with the Battle Island that the 8-armed fiend god clan created specifically for war. The three sky demon watched as one of the sky demons was crushed into nothingness by the thousand fiend city, and their faces fell. Fiend gods were ruthless, but they also had consciousness and naturally felt fear. In the face of an invincible existence, they would also feel fear. Looking at the thousand fiend city was like looking at an ancient fiend god. Without the slightest hesitation, they turned the war chariot around and rushed toward the battle island. At the same time, they gave the order, and countless flying devilish beasts rose into the air, forming a terrifying black cloud that covered the sky. Countless mournful cries rang out. They charged directly toward the thousand fiend city. Humph! You want to run? You're courting death. Di Shirtion glanced at them coldly. Without any hesitation, Zhang Xian drove the thousand fiend city forward with a thought. Bang, bang, bang. The thousand fiend city had no walls, but it was replaced by the gate of heaven, which collided with countless devilish beasts. In the void of the thousand fiend city, for invisible barriers appeared. Like walls, they directly sealed off all directions and emitted immortal divine light. A large number of devilish beasts were directly crushed into a mass of flesh and blood, and crazily splashed in all directions. Boom, boom, boom. The thousand demon city was like an incomparably huge mountain, directly crashing over like a ferocious barbarian. Crash, crash, crash. Without any skill, it ferociously crashed into the horde of devilish beasts with unparalleled ferocity. How could those devilish beasts block the unparalleled, ferocious power of the ancient city? Without any resistance, they were crushed into a mass of flesh and blood, and countless devilish beasts covered the sky and earth and floated down on the battlefield. Ferocious! A supreme, ferocious aura burst out from the thousand fiend city. To be continued. If you want to know what happened next, please go to www.chijian.com. Support the author, support the original reading. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.